Hey y'all, what's good? Let's see who's here. Hey, Dog Mom, thank you for coming. Thank you to all my members, my mods, those of you in the bushes. I appreciate everybody's support. I was trying to get my mouse to work, but it is not. So, oh well. Let's jump right into it. We are going to be discussing Sarah Boone and her battered woman syndrome defense. And if time permits, I do want to play a video by the New York Times about Francine Hughes. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Hey, Tanya. I took a little mental break from social media. I do that from time to time. So I'll go hard for like a month or two and then I gotta take a break, okay? Because these cases are heavy and you gotta protect yourself on here. Okay. But I am so happy to see you. Thank you for coming. All right, y'all. So let's jump into it. So we know by now who Sarah Boone is. If you need a recap of who she is and what her case is about, I recommend watching my last live. I will jot down to post it in the description. So I'm not gonna go deep into that, but she has been incarcerated since 2020. So she's been in jail almost 4 years, and she has gone through 9 attorneys, and there have been continuances upon continuances. And her second attorney, Mauricio, decided to go with the battered woman syndrome defense. And so, per the state of Florida, the battered woman defense or battered woman syndrome or intimate partner violence basically means that it's defined as a pattern of signs and symptoms that are displayed by a woman or it could be a male who has suffered persistent intimate partner violence. Okay, so this could be sexual, financial, psychological, or physical. In this case, I guess Sarah or her lawyer feels as though she was physically abused to the point where she is now manifesting it as PTSD. All right. So, per the APA, the victim feels helpless, powerless, and defeated, and this hinders them from desiring to leave the relationship. So, as we know, George and Sarah would get into it. However, Sarah would beat George to the punch and she would call 911. They would come out to assess the situation. Sarah would make claims that George abused her in a variety of ways. They asked for George's side of the story, and for whatever reason, he was unable to recall facts of the incident. And, they took him to jail. He was arrested and booked. Sarah then, I guess, had a change of heart, and she would go and bail him out. This occurred about 4 or 5 times, and I am going to read those criminal complaints shortly. And so I'm not sure if her lawyer is saying that, um, just it's a heat of passion crime. They got into an altercation, and somehow, some way, he ended up into this suitcase. But maybe it's a result of Sarah's mind being, or just her mental capacity being altered, and it caused her to do what she did. I'm not sure. But there are 3 components to the cycle of abuse. So the first phase is called tension building. So this is where the abuser becomes frequently angry and aggressive and uses those feelings to justify minor abuse. So the minor abuse could just be verbal abuse. They may cuss you out, or, it could be maybe just a slap, or sometimes even just withholding sex, because that would be emotional and mental abuse. They may take all of the money and spend it and not tell you, and now you're left with no money to pay the bills, or, things like that. So it usually starts off really small. And during this phase, the man or the woman will try to placate the opposite person, usually the aggressor, and make excuses for the aggressor's behavior. Okay. So we saw this in the interrogation where, when they asked Sarah why did she stay with him, and she basically was saying that, when he's not drinking, he's a good person. Um, and that she felt like she had to help him or whatever, because, if he wasn't drinking, if he wasn't unemployed, if he wasn't all of these things, he would be a good person and he wouldn't abuse her. All right. So then phase 2 is the abusive phase. And so that's when the tension erupts and causes some sort of abuse. And oftentimes it's severe. So we've heard of this where maybe things just boil over. Again, maybe, and this is just speculation, we don't know yet, but it could have been in George's case, maybe he just grew sick of his situation. This was a 40-year-old man who, again, was unemployed, didn't have a good relationship with his ex-wife, and this is per Sarah. It could have just been that he was completely dependent on Sarah, and so they had these situations where maybe the tension did boil over. However, it's no excuse for abuse. I'm just using it as an example. So in other scenarios, when you hear about domestic V, this is what happens, just bubbles up, boils over, and then sometimes, again, the abuse can be very severe, oftentimes leading up to death. And then the third phase is the honeymoon phase. So that's when the abuser will apologize and they'll make amends. The abuser will then reinforce the victim's hope for reform. So, that's the apologizing. I'm sorry I did this. I love you. If I wasn't this, if I wasn't that, I wouldn't have did this to you. And all of that, right? Okay. So, in the state of Florida, what you need to prove intimate partner violence is a mitigating circumstance. So, in this case, they are going to have to hire a expert witness, and this is usually a psychiatrist who is going to assess the state of mind during the incident. So, they need to know what type of state of mind Sarah was in. Was she actually drunk? Did they get into a fight? Did the fight cause her an altered mental state? Things of that nature. What was she thinking during the time that this happened? And did she feel that because her mind was altered, she had to do what she did? Okay. And they also have to prove, was the victim in reasonable fear of imminent danger? So we all know what imminent danger is. Imminent danger is when, let's say, somebody pulls a GUN out on you. You're in imminent danger. You don't know if this person's going to shoot you or what, or if they have a knife, or, imminent danger to somebody who's afraid of a dog. If you're very fearful of a dog, you feel like you're in imminent danger. You don't know if the dog's going to bite you or what have you. Things where it's like a split-second decision. Your fight or flight kicks in and you're just, very afraid, and, you gotta do what you gotta do, to survive and get out of that situation. So, to justify homicide per intimate partner violence in the state of Florida, you have to, present 3 elements. So, the elements are The defendant believed that he or she must use force against an imminent threat or harm. Now, per Sarah, from the investigation and just different interviews that she's done with the police, she said that they had a good day, right? She said that she went and got puzzles and paint so they could chill out or whatever and just have a good time. They were drinking, smoking cigarettes, having a good time. They both agreed that it would be a good idea and a funny idea for George to get into the suitcase. Okay. She never mentioned anything about being in harm or fear of her life, right? They repeatedly asked her, and we're going to watch the interrogation. They repeatedly asked her, okay, and again, she said, no, I didn't lay a hands on him. He didn't lay a hands on me. We were having a good day. So that's out the window. Okay. Now, mind you, in order for the jury to go along with this defense, all three elements have to be proven. So that element is not going to be proven. In fact, there were no visible marks of abuse on Sarah, but they were on George. We'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. So the second element that they have to prove is the amount of force used was proportionate to the threatened harm. Again, Sarah was not in fear for her life, right? It's not like she punched him and knocked him out and then she left. It's not like she had to draw a knife on him and leave. She didn't do any of that. Somehow he got into the suitcase, and per Sarah, they both agreed it was a good idea. Then the third element is that the defendant retreated to the greatest degree reasonably possible. Now, we'll get into that a little bit because Florida still recognizes the castle doctrine and the duty to retreat. So, per the Broward Law Group, that is a law group, a law firm in Florida, common characteristics of battered spouses include taking full responsibility for the abuse and issues in the relationship. I didn't once hear Sarah take responsibility for any of that. Right? So to me, that lets me know that her mental state was not altered to the point where she felt like the abuse was her fault. Finding it difficult to assess, or I'm sorry, finding it difficult to accuse the abuse or blame them. I ain't hear that. Fearing for you or someone you love safety because of the abuser. Now remember, she had joint custody of her son. Her son went over there however many days out of the week. Sarah never mentioned that her son was afraid of George. She never mentioned that George would get into fights with Sarah while her son was there. In fact, during the interrogation, she said that they would only get into fights when her son was not there. Okay. So that ain't going to work. Being afraid to speak in fear of getting your partner upset. We all know Sarah is very vocal, so I don't think that that was the case either. Not having close ties to your friends or family. Now, I will say I did never hear anything about Sarah's family aside from her son and her ex-husband. But that doesn't necessarily mean that George, kept her from her friends and family or what have you. It could just be that she doesn't have a relationship with them or whatever. However, based on the information that I gathered about Sarah, is that she would oftentimes try to keep George from his kids and his mom and his dad. And if you guys remember, she frequently said that they were gonna kill her because of what happened to George, and so they knew about the violence in that relationship. George's friend even, gave an interview to the police about how aggressive Sarah was to George. So if anything, she was the one keeping him from his friends and family. Also, the, victim would find themselves isolated from people you love. I don't see that. I didn't see that or hear that. Um, Irrational believing how powerful your abuse is. I don't know about that. And distrust of authorities instilled in you by your abuser. We know that's not the case because every time that she and George got into it, she was quickly on the phone with 911 and trusting them to come, trusting them to assess the situation, trusting them to arrest George. Okay. And then she would go down there and bail him out. So, unfortunately, none of these characteristics to me personally um relate to Sarah in any of this. If anything, I think she was the dominant one in a relationship, and I feel like she was the primary aggressor, and maybe not physically, but definitely verbally and emotionally. And I think that she held some leverage over George because she was receiving money from Brian, and so she could control how the money is spent. Again, he was living with her. That was her apartment. He wasn't even supposed to be living there. He didn't have a car. She did. So she had all of these things over him. And, to a lot of people, they use that as a sense of control. And so I believe she used the little that she had to control what he didn't have, if that makes sense. So let me see what y'all saying. Dog mom, you so funny. Oh, it's okay. What were you? The coconut oil and cocoa butter thing. Okay, okay. Yes, we agree, Bama. We agree. I believe that. I believe that, like I said, and she wasn't getting anything but $1,000 a month. However, you know, that was something to her. It was enough for her to do what she wanted to do. And again, if George is in a position where he's not receiving any income whatsoever, yeah, she can hold that $1,000 over him. She's going to control every aspect of his life with that little bit of money because he doesn't have anything, right? He doesn't have. It's not like he could pick up his things and go. Where was he going to go? What was he going to do? Oh, good. I see you, Bama. Ugh, I can't talk, Bama. Okay. So let's get into some of these criminal complaints. I'm gonna share my screen, and most likely they're not gonna be in order, but I'm gonna read them anyway because it's hard for me to share the screen and try to figure out what order they go in. So I'm just gonna click one and we're gonna read it. Um, so yeah, she did. Bama, didn't they settle? Like he just bought the house out from under her, so she had that. Then plus, I guess he was paying her alimony or child child support, possibly something like that. So yes. Oh, okay. So this is an arrest affidavit and it is dated June 18th, 2019. Now, I am aware that some of you have been able to listen per another channel to jail records and things of that nature, and that's cool. I haven't because I told you guys already I don't visit other channels that talk about topics that I want to talk about because I want to have my own opinion. And, every channel can do what they want. So that's cool. So I don't want anybody getting on here beating me up for, what I'm presenting just because you may know a little bit more about it. That's cool or whatever. So don't be nasty about it. All right. So it says on June 18th, and that's my son's birthday, at approximately 7:21 a.m., Detective Strong responded to the apartment that they share in response to credit card fraud, but he later determined to be a violation of pretrial release conditions for domestic V. When he arrived on the scene, he met with Sarah, who at that time was considered the victim. And, Sarah stated that she and George had been living together and had been in a physically intimate relationship for about 2.5 years. Sarah claims that she had gotten into a fight with George on June 15th, 2009, which resulted in George being arrested for battery for domestic V. George was released on June 16th, 2019, with pretrial release conditions from the magistrate. Part of those conditions stipulated that George was to have no form of contact with Sarah. On June 18th, George went to Sarah's residence and made contact with her. Sarah stated that she did not invite him to her residence, but did not deny him access in. Excuse me. While Sarah was upstairs with a friend, Sarah stated George took a credit card of hers and left the residence. During that time that George and Sarah have been together, George has used her credit cards on multiple occasions, and Sarah has allowed him to. Sarah uttered to me the fact that George was on pretrial release conditions for battery. When I questioned her about what the conditions included, excuse me, she told me he was not to have any form of contact with her while the battery case was active. I inquired with her about letting George contact her and be at her residence. At this point, Sarah became uncooperative with my investigation because she did not want George to be arrested. She refused to provide me with a sworn written statement. I attempted to locate George at both his parents' residence. I'm not going to say the address. At his place of work at ACE Hardware Store. He was not at either locations. Later on June 18th, 2019, at approximately 1:22 p.m., the same police officer was dispatched back to the apartment in reference to a verbal argument. When he arrived, he met with Sarah, who told him that George had returned to the residence and was currently inside. The officer made contact with George, who stated he went to see Sarah in reference to the events earlier. He stated he knew he was on pretrial release conditions and was not supposed to be in contact with Sarah. George was arrested for violating his pretrial release conditions. And then it says he was secured in handcuffs, checked for proper fit, yada, yada. He was transported to the jail, and there was a copy of the no contact order uploaded into um, the data works. Okay, so I don't, I don't know. He could have been living with his parents. I'm not sure. I honestly feel like he was already living there, and I don't really know what to say. I'm gonna just leave that one alone because I have no idea. I have no idea. All right, let's read the next one. Okay, so this one was on 6/15. So this was 3 days before the other criminal complaint. Okay. On June 15th, Deputy O'Neill arrived at the house or the apartment at 5:08 p.m. When he arrived on the scene, he spoke with Sarah, who stated that George struck her. Sarah stated she was beaten up, face, legs, and arms. She stated that she begged George to stop, and George stated, "You are going to die." Sarah stated that George punched her in the head and flung her off the bed. Sarah stated this incident occurred due to George being upset about Sarah talking to a male. Sarah stated that she had been dating George for 2.5 years. The officer said he observed a lump that was red in color on the left side of Sarah's face under her hairline. She also had scratches on the right side of her neck. Sarah stated the lump was caused by George punching her. She was not sure if the scratches were from today. She provided a sworn written statement and desires prosecution and will testify in court. Sarah completed a domestic V worksheet and was provided a victim rights pamphlet. The officer then spoke with George. He observed scratches on the right side of George's neck. The officer asked George how he received the scratches. George said he didn't know. George was taken to the police station. However, when he was in the car, he said that he did not strike Sarah and that Sarah did not strike him. Photos were taken sorry. Photos were taken of both Sarah and George's injuries and uploaded into DataWorks. Oh, let me drink some water. I'm sorry. y'all. Okay. They both refused medical treatment. All right. It says due to Sarah and George being involved in a dating relationship for 2.5 years and George striking Sarah causing visible injuries, George was placed under arrest and taken to the jail. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. And the reason why I'm reading these is because I am trying to see what the pattern is. I'm trying to see if Sarah was the aggressor or was it George. That's what we're trying to see here. So this next one is September 4th, 2019, the same year. It says at 9:06, the officer responded in a call about domestic V. When the officer arrived, he observed injuries. I guess he observed Sarah with minor injuries. It says the suspect is known. The case was closed by arrest. The investigation revealed that Sarah and George were boyfriend and girlfriend for 3 years. There were no children at the home at the time of this. There were injuries on the ear. And let me scroll down and get the report because let me see, hold on. Okay, it says, is there a history of violence? Yes. So the officer made contact with the victim, who is Sarah Boone, who was away from the residence at another house. She separated herself from the incident. So I guess her and George got into it, and then she did decide to flee the scene this time. Sarah provided the officer with a verbal and sworn statement. She advised that on the evening of September 4th, 2019, she was at home sleeping in her bed upstairs when her boyfriend George kicked in the bedroom door. for the fourth time and began cursing at her. Sarah advised George was upset because she was not downstairs. Sarah observed that she repeatedly asked and begged George to leave, and he punched her in the left ear and the side of her head. Sarah advised that she had decided to choose her battles that day, and she went downstairs with George. Sarah advised that George continued to call her name, so she ran off barefoot, I guess, to a neighbor's house and called 911. The officer said that she observed minor scratches to the inside of Sarah's ear with dried blood. Sarah refused all medical aid, and Sarah advised that this is not the first dating violence incident with George, with the last one being August 28, 2019, where he was arrested for battery. Sarah completed all domestic V paperwork, advised that, and let me see, she advised that she would testify and prosecute. Sarah was provided a copy of the photo injunction referral referencing this case number. Her injuries were photographed and uploaded to DataWorks. Then they made contact with George at the apartment that they shared. They say that George was hiding in the bathroom located upstairs in the master bedroom. George provided the officer with a verbal statement, and he said that they said that he immediately uttered that he knew he was in trouble because he believed he was not allowed to be inside of the residence. George was uncooperative when he asked what had happened over the course of the evening. George advised that Sarah will often hit him. However, he doesn't notify law enforcement. George advised that Sarah did not injure him physically that evening. He had no visible injuries. George advised him and Sarah had been drinking over the evening. So he was arrested and booked, and then he was released without limit. No, he was sorry, arrested and booked until Sarah bailed him out. What y'all think so far? Hey Shay. What y'all think? We got two more to read. Let's read these two, then we'll discuss. All right, y'all. So this happened the year prior, July 25th, 2018. And it says at 1:52 a.m., Detective Zito responded to the apartment in reference to a male kicking a female in the eye. It was later determined that this would be an aggravated battery by strangulation and battery case, both being dating violence. So the officer spoke with Sarah first, who is defendant one slash victim. Sarah verbally stated that she was at an unknown bar earlier in the evening when she asked an unknown male for a cigarette. Her boyfriend George of 1.5 years became upset since she was taking time or talking to another male and left the bar. They both went back to the residence located at such and continued verbally arguing. Sarah was dragged upstairs by George and she was kicked in the right eye using his right heel. Sarah was unable to describe how she fell to the ground and or how she was dragged upstairs by George. Sarah refused medical treatment. She refused to write a statement and or sign any dating violence paperwork. After the officer spoke with Sarah, they spoke with George. George stated that they were both at the residence verbally arguing and consuming alcohol. He claims that they have been dating for 1.5 years and residing together for 1.2 years. George attempted to go upstairs to avoid Sarah. While George was walking upstairs, Sarah reached towards George's throat using both of her hands. She placed both of her hands around his throat and applied pressure to the extent that George was having a difficult time breathing. George was sitting on the steps and started kicking towards Sarah in an attempt to get her off of him. George believes he might have kicked Sarah in the face, but was not sure. George believed that if he did not kick Sarah off of him, she would have made him incapacitated due to being strangled. George refused medical treatment. He also refused to write a statement and or sign any dating violence paperwork. Both Sarah and George stated they have been dating for approximately 1 year and 6 months and residing together for approximately 1 year and 2 months. The left side of George's neck had red markings and small abrasions that are consistent with being strangled. Sarah's right eye is bruised and swollen from receiving an impact. Both George and Sarah allowed the detective to take pictures of the injury. The detective later uploaded the pictures to DataWorks. They received a victim rights booklet. It says, due to conflicting statements and injuries on both Sarah and George, the detective was unable to determine who was the primary aggressor. And so they both were placed under arrest in separate cars. They were then transported to the jail where they were booked. And eventually they both bonded out um, and refused to press charges against each other. Okay. So now we're going to read the last one. And then we're going to have a little discussion here. Okay, this is the last one. So August 28th, 2019. Like I said, I know these are out of order. I apologize. Okay. It says that the officer reported in reference to a battery. Upon arrival, the officer made contact with the victim who did not require any medical attention. The suspect was placed under arrest and transported to the jail. Okay, no children were present at the time of the assault. It says Sarah Boone intentionally touched and struck the victim against her will. So basically, she's saying that she hit George, but against her will. Okay. The victim is a household member of the defendant due to the fact that they presently reside together as if a family and are currently residing in the same single dwelling unit. Okay. So about 8:14 that evening, the detective met with Sarah, who was positively identified via Florida driver's license. She told the detective that George woke her up coming into the bedroom screaming and angry. George continuously punched Sarah in the neck and pulled her hair. Sarah Boone then threw George off of the bed when she feared he was going to bang her head on the marble windowsill. Sarah and George have been dating since March 2016 and have no children in common. They do live in the same apartment as a family. During my interactions with Sarah Boone, she appeared angry, upset, continuously apologized, and stated how she was fed up that she was being hit. The officer observed marks on the left side of her neck, just under her jaw, and an old bruise on her right eye that she said happened 3 days ago. So I guess that's when they came from the bar and he kicked her in the eye. Sarah Boone declines any offer of medical treatment on the scene and prior to her arrival. I took digital photos of Sarah's injuries, and uploaded them. Sarah said that she is not willing to testify or prosecute for this incident. So Sarah was provided with legal rights and remedies for victims, a business card with the case number. The officer then went to speak with George, who was identified via a Florida identification card. So George didn't even have a license. All right. The detective says that George acted surprised to see deputies. He did have redness above his left eye. He declines any offer of medical treatment. Photos were taken and uploaded. They read him his Miranda rights and asked if he was willing to speak about the incident, where he replied yes. He says that, let me see, what did he say? Well, basically, they said that he was continuously surprised um, that the cops were there. Let me see. When I asked George what happened to Sarah, he said he didn't know. He didn't understand or know how she got marks on her neck. He alluded to the fact that he gets hit all the time, and what is he supposed to do? So the police said that, you're supposed to call the police. And he said, detective said, I asked if he gave her the marks in self defense, and he said no. I asked if he hit her because she hit him, and he would not answer. I asked again what happened that night, and he would not answer. George was placed under arrest for domestic V and transported to the jail without incident. All right, y'all. What y'all think? Mhm, mhm. 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 Very true. Excuse me for sniffing. I remember that. I believe that it was a very toxic relationship. But I wanted to read that to try to see what Sarah's attorney could use and if the cycle of abuse applies to those scenarios. I mean, there's a common theme. So I don't know what the minor abuse incidents were, but the severe abuse obviously was them fighting. And the catalyst was what? Drinking. So they drank, can't hold liquor and fight, or what was it? Obviously I'm not a lawyer. So, this is just me reading reports and trying to analyze some things. And like I said, I already read to you the elements that they have to prove. And per those elements, I just see this as both of them fighting. And George did, I think, so here's the thing. I think George didn't want to call the police because he knew he wasn't supposed to be at Sarah's house. So he knew that if I called the police and told them that she jumped on me, he would get in more trouble than she would because he's violating the terms of his bond, right? So that doesn't mean that she wasn't the primary aggressor. I don't think that there was a primary aggressor. I just think that they both were abusive to each other for whatever reason. Now the question is, why did she continue to go back? George couldn't offer Sarah anything, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful of the dead at all, but what could he offer her? He wasn't paying bills. He couldn't buy food. He didn't have a car. He didn't have a job. I mean, she wasn't doing too much better either, but I'm just saying it wasn't like he was bringing substance to her life, and she for damn sure wasn't bringing any to his. And so, why did she feel the need to have him there? So was it just so that she could have somebody to control, or what was it? And I'm sure they've asked her that. Bluesy News, hey! How are you? Okay. Jesus. But that's just not it's not I don't see how her lawyers first of all, I just don't see how an expert is going to say her mind was altered to the point where she felt she was in imminent danger and she had to zip him in his suitcase. That could be true, Bama. You make a valid point. What is wrong with my mouse? It must need a battery or something. Okay, let me go back to my notes. So, in the state of Florida, Florida is one of the 30 states that recognizes duty to retreat. So, duty of the abused when they are being abused is to retreat before using deadly force. And there's the castle doctrine, and I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but the castle doctrine basically means that if you are in danger at your home, you can do what you need to do to um, lessen the threat, right? So, but there's a gray area, and we're gonna get into a little bit of case law. But in this case, I don't see what the deadly force is because again, and you may not agree with me, I don't believe that Sarah wanted to take George out. I don't. I think she got satisfaction into torturing him. She got satisfaction out of being in control, right? So we're going to get a little deeper into that. And I don't think Jenny is here, but Jenny brought up a valid point about there was a possibility that she probably knocked him out before she got him into that suitcase. And that could be, and it's something that I heard in the interrogation that kind of made me go, mm. So we're gonna see. But anyway, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of case law because that's what I like to do. And this case law is from the state of Georgia and is YNV state, and there is the um reference information if you want to look it up at your leisure. But basically, prior to this landmark case, again, Florida recognized the duty to retreat, and it was very tricky trying to prove a battered woman syndrome defense. Okay, so you can't just say that. somebody punched me in the eye and so I got a knife and you know what, or somebody threw me down the stairs and I jumped up and did what I had to do. So again, you have a duty to retreat. So if you feel that you're, being threatened, if you got to slap them and run to another part of the room, do so. If you have to run out of the house, do so. But in this case, this lady named Catherine had shot and unalived her husband due to constant fear, and she believed that she didn't have a choice but to unalive him, okay? And so the defense hired an expert attorney who testified that, yes, this lady had no choice but to unalive her husband and, she was just in an altered state of mind from the constant abuse. So the case ended and the judge is given a jury instructions. And in a jury instructions, he says that, because the defendant was wrongfully attacked, it doesn't justify the fact that she needed to use deadly force and that she could have retreated without using deadly force. So, unfortunately, the jury found her guilty of second degree unaliving and she was sentenced to 18 years. She was able to successfully appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court, where they opined that if the victim is a resident with the abuser, they have no duty to retreat. Okay. So if we use Sarah's case as an example, since she and George were residents of the home and they were living as a family, and I believe that's why that officer put that in that last report. They were living as a family. She was constantly being abused. He was constantly being abused. Per the Supreme Court, whoever is considered the victim, they have no duty but they don't have a duty to retreat. And if you feel that you're in imminent danger, then you use whatever force you need to, even if it's deadly force. But again, there's a lot of gray area with that because if we're going to use Sarah's interrogation video, which we're getting ready to watch as soon as I get done running my mouth, if you're going to use that, she claims that they weren't fighting that day, right? There were no visible marks on her. All of the marks were on George. And she claimed that the last few days they had been getting along. Okay. So she was not in imminent danger. There was nothing to fear. Out of her own mouth, she claimed that they were not in any type of physical altercations. So I don't see the defense working. I don't see it working. Hmm. I keep grabbing my mouth. Let's see what y'all talking about. Hold on. I don't either. I'm sorry, yo. What did she say on the phone video? He was cheating on her. So I had to listen to it a million times. When he said, "I can't breathe," and she said, "Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like when you cheat on me." Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And then at one point she said, "Wiggle around a little bit, being extra." Something else she said after that. Um, right? He did not come to look for her. Hey, digital, what's up? It is wild. Good to see you. Okay. So, again, just based off of that case law, based off the Supreme Court decision, based off of the elements that I already read to you guys and all of that, I am so anxious to see how they're going to pull this off. I really am. Now, there was a case in Florida a couple of years ago. The young lady's name is Marissa Alexander, and Florida has a stand your ground law, and they also, like I said, have the duty to retreat. And so Marissa was being abused by her boyfriend. She was 31 years old at the time. And so he had physically abused her, and she was able to retreat to another part of the house. However, she grabbed a firearm and fired a couple of warning shots at the wall, and she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, right? Fortunately, she was able to get out after 3 years. She accepted a plea deal. But again, this is where it gets tricky because they were residents, husband and wife. Excuse me, she was abused or what have you. But I guess the way they looked at it was that you were able to retreat to another part of the house successfully, right? And so if your children were there, you had a duty to leave, get help, and we'll help you. So I guess it just all depends on, like I said, a number of factors. I think even to the severity of the abuse, history of abuse, if you're able to get away, all of those things. So that's another case you guys can look up if you want to. But her name is Marissa Alexander, and she was convicted May of 2012, and she served 3 years and was released under a plea deal. So that's just a little bit more information. But we're going to jump into this interrogation, and I think I'm going to speed it up because it is long, but I want to listen to it again because there are some things that she says that cancels out this battered woman syndrome defense. Okay. So let's go to the YouTube streets. Give me a second. Um, oh, excuse me. My allergies and sinuses are draining. Okay, hold on. Where did I save it? Oh, Lord. And I got to go to Mushmouth. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So y'all pay attention, which I'm sure you guys already have, but we're going to dissect this. Let me speed it up just a little bit because it is a little lengthy. Okay, here we go.
Sure. Um, so obviously, he received his autopsy. So I'm going to read you your rights again because we have to talk about that. And since I'm talking about the incident, we just have to do it, just like we did yesterday. Just like we did yesterday. Remember I read you the rights? Your rights? Yeah. So this is the exact same thing, but since I'm asking you follow-up questions, I need to read them to you, okay? Sure. All right. So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before and during questioning without charge. If you cannot afford a lawyer and want one can be provided for you before questioning without charge. Has anyone threatened you or promised you anything to get you to talk to me? No. And do you understand what I just read you? Yes. Perfect. Okay. So this morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So I want, so he's got scratch marks to his back. I know what that's from. Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit and then you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little. I haven't laid a hand on him. Okay. I also too. He fell off my son's bike. Okay. So I don't know. And he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree. So why?
Okay, I'm gonna stop early. So she said that he fell off of her son's bike and he was notorious for running into the wall. So unless he was drunk, I don't know why he would be running into a wall. Furthermore, scratches on her back are not going to indicate that somebody ran into the wall unless he's walking backwards. That doesn't make any sense. And still, it wouldn't cause a scratch. So she's already setting up her defense. She know damn well what the scratch and what the bruise is. So listen closely for the next bit.
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like going, but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea if that's wrong.
And they're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, you know, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is.
Sorry.
No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house too, so.
Well, your son was there. When was he last there?
Oh gosh.
My understanding he was
Okay.
there like last.
Hold on. I tried to improve the quality, but I guess I can't. Okay.
Last Tuesday.
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week. So.
Well, we're talking about Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday and then into Monday.
I'm thoroughly confused because we had a good time sitting on the back porch, having wine and smoking a couple of cigarettes, and then decided to go inside and literally paint, do puzzles, and play, and listen to music. That's why nobody got out of sorts. This is what's mind-blowing to me. Like, I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on anybody.
He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on like his head and his skull.
I have no idea.
As if something hit him.
I
consider
not
force
touched him.
trauma.
Okay. So Bama and Dog Mom, the two of you were here, and maybe a few people in the bushes. I'm not sure. But last live, we talked about if George could have been knocked out and stuffed into the suitcase and maybe woke up in the suitcase. Now, the investigator just said that there was a bruise on his skull, which could indicate that she hit him with something. Again, this is just alleged information or whatever. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. These are just our thoughts, well, my thoughts on my own, and I'm just speculating. But that could have been a possibility because why else would it be a bruise on his skull? Now, I know the first time I watched this interrogation, I was just thinking, okay, well, maybe it was because she maybe allegedly, threw him down the stairs, which could be. But, that's a possible scenario that she popped him over the head with something and then maybe got him in the suitcase. And what her motives were after that, I'm not sure. But I just thought that that was interesting because we talked about it the last time.
I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
How would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know. I have not touched him.
Yesterday, when we took photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swabs, did they go under your fingernails?
No.
Okay. Are you willing to let us
Absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
Okay.
No idea. And I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day.
Today I didn't even have to use my 8K. I gotta say it was a good day.
We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good. Like, I don't even know where this is coming from.
Yeah, I think the last physical was probably, you said, I think, a month ago? Where you got the injury, right? You said that was a month ago?
A few weeks, give or take, yeah.
A few weeks. That was the last, physical altercation between the two of you? You said a month ago he hit you with a curtain rod.
Yeah, with a curtain rod. That's why I can't believe you guys didn't take that either.
Wow.
Like, we've been good. I don't know if, it's since the last time he got out of jail. Like, we've been good, and he's been having his classes and seeing his probation officer, who's amazing. So.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
The probation officer?
Oh, no, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is. I don't know if you talked to Brian about any of that, but most of the time when I flee, I go over there. So.
Right, but you're saying that you guys have been good, and when I asked you yesterday, the last incident that you could remember was the curtain rod incident, which you said was a month ago. So.
Give or take.
Right. So what do you mean by he comes after you? Like.
He gets belligerently drunk.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if y'all have looked through my phone yet and seen any of the pictures and the videos that I have taken.
Mhm.
And at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures, bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose. I've got this.
Right.
I don't know if Brian told you about it, where I had to have almost I had one really bad surgery, but then it got really, 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 really bad, where I had to go like 4 or 5 more times afterwards for them to tend to it. From him poking me in the back of the leg.
Right.
So it's
So maybe that's some of the evidence that they're going to use. She's saying it is documented evidence of her phone of what'd she say? Her forehead being split, her leg, all of these things. But again, she didn't try to retreat and she wasn't in any type of imminent danger. I don't think people realize that when they try to use a self-defense claim is the imminent danger part is vitally important, right? You can't just say they scared me and so I had to do this. Imminent danger. And still, that's not even it just doesn't make sense because even if he was, let's say they got into a fight that night, right? How did you the only way that if they got into a fight that night, the only way that she and this is allegedly, the only way she could have gotten him in that suitcase is if she knocked him out. If he has power over you physically and you're saying that he's the aggressor and he beats you up all of the time to the point where your forehead is bleeding, which tells me he's really putting a pause on you. At one point, did he calm down? You became the Incredible Hulk, folded him up and put him in this suitcase. It just doesn't make it none of this makes any sense, and this is where she messed up, like, you sitting here talking to them without a lawyer. The police, I don't care how nice they are, they're not your friends. They're gonna do what they need to do to get information out of you, and so while you're trying to paint this picture that he beat you up every day, how did he get in the suitcase? Then you backtrack and say, "Oh, well, we were getting along and, he volunteered to get in there." But then it makes you look like a monster because you didn't do anything to help him to get out. So this battered woman syndrome, it's just not gonna work. Like, again, you continuously let him reside there. And I don't feel that your mind was altered because you know what? Even if it let's just say you were abused to the point where, mentally you just not right, you can't think. I can't tell during this interrogation. You spoke clearly. You were able to recall facts. You weren't crying. You weren't emotional. You tried to cry when they asked you why you kept taking them back. But, to me, it's not giving. I've been abused every day, damn near for the last 3 years. And I know it manifests differently with everybody, but still, I don't see anything to me that says you just don't know, like, he just beat me up so bad every day to the point where I just don't even know who I am and what I'm doing when if I'm coming or going like, none of that. You're just trying to prove yourself at this point. That's what I get from this.
Then why are you still with him?
everybody asks me that. When I tell you guys this, I really love him. Like I do. And I feel like I can help him. Like I feel like I could help him, which I did because he came a really long way from where he was in Philadelphia to moving back to here and to dealing with everything else that he's been dealing with. I've really helped him. I bailed him out of jail, 3 times. I've gone to every single hearing and every single arraignment, everything that I did for him. Gone to see all his public defenders, go to the state. I've gone to the state. I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him because I had hope in him. And he was trying. He was really trying. And then he starts to think about things and I think he gets overwhelmed. And then it's like, next thing you know, he's drinking. So it's like, oh man, I know where this is going to go. So I'm going to go upstairs and read a book, or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do something else where I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. The occasional wine, whatever, or if it's a weekend, that's when you have a good time. You don't have to wake up the next day. I have to wake up the next day and do things. I have to I have to take him to school. I have all this stuff to do. He doesn't know how to, I guess, maintain himself where I can do 50 things at once and still know the 50 things more prior that I need to get done. He can't process like that. He didn't process like that. So he would literally, not literally, but have smoke coming out of his ears. So the next thing you know, he doesn't want to deal with it. I'm going to go get something to drink. So the majority of the time, I would hang out outside or do something else because I don't want to drink. And every time, his job broke his heart. And it made me sad because he had so much pride in his job. And the store that he took care of so much totally went downhill. Mm-hmm. And that broke his heart because he had put so much work and effort into fixing it up. And his manager was awful and basically gave up on all of the employees. So I think that had a huge bearing on why he would drink so much. His ex-wife is bonkers. Mm-hmm. She was all over him all the time. send me money, send me money, send me money. How can I send you money when I don't have a job? And he's still trying to take care of me and Lucas by paying a bill here or there, getting some groceries. So he always had something on his mind, which is why, again, I got the puzzles and the paint to try to get him off of it so we don't have a drink, or he doesn't have a drink. So when you all see my phone, you can see all of the damage he has done to me and the videos of him smashing my television because he's belligerently drunk. Where most of the time, I just don't want to be there. And I try to help him. I try to calm him down. Eventually, he just passes out.
Well, yesterday, I made it sound like you guys were just drinking like a glass or two. Like, yeah, you obviously had the bottle, but you told me on the, but you told me on recording, like, that you were not drunk, he was not drunk, you guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk. Number one, I do not want to get drunk. I don't like being non-complimentous, having my wits about myself. I don't like feeling out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just saying, you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions, and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics. We are not, you know, but you guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like, no, I didn't pass out, I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and it got physical?
No.
Or is it?
Sunday was one of the better days that we have had in quite some time. He's dancing with my dog. You can see that too on the pictures, him loving the dog. He loves the dog and dancing around, having a good time, and just being happy kind of thing. He doesn't know, I can get like maybe 2 to 3 glasses of wine and I'll be fine. But I have to have my wits about myself because I don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you? Like, how many glasses of wine did you have? How many glasses of wine did he have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know if you poured any out. Yes.
No, that was from previous.
You said that there was a half bottle left over.
That was
Mm-hmm. And then that you had went, well, I don't even know how'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he went to Publix.
Does he like leave the house and you stay home, or do you go to Publix? Like,
Sometimes I'll go with him.
Okay. Did you go with him Sunday to Publix?
So most of the time what happens is, because the convenience store where we get cigarettes is here, and then Publix literally is cattywampus to it.
Okay.
So what he'll do is he'll go by Publix, and then on the way back, catch the convenience store.
Okay.
So
Is that what he did Sunday?
I'm guessing that's what he did, because next thing I know, he's walking in with a bottle.
Okay.
So it's him trying to be nice, so I don't have to go out and do it. Plus, there's stuff that around the house that I have to take care of. So that's usually what will happen. Or I'm folding laundry, and he'll go run out and do whatever.
Okay. So where were you guys at on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday? You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk. So with him, I don't know. I know when it's like, oh, okay, man, where I have told him, slow down. It's starting to catch up with you. Slow down. Slow down. And another thing, too, is I don't like listening to music with him because he gets too involved in the music, and the music that he listens to is a little rough around the edges, and like it makes me fractious listening to his music. So I kept asking him, let's just you and me talk. You and me will just be the ones that are talking, which was fine, because I mean, we were playing with a dog, whatever, and then it's like, okay, now let's do the painting. We just did the puzzle, took a break, now let's do this. Sure enough, sat down, we're sitting there talking, laughing, talking about new movies, we're watching movie trailers while we're doing painting and all that other stuff. So it's still background noise to him, because I think that's what he's used to, is having background noise, where me, I can sit in here all day with not a peep, but he always has to have some kind of background noise, which I didn't mind because the trailers were cool, and he was interested in showing them to me, getting excited about movies that were out or upcoming.
Okay.
So
on your laptop you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I mean, and then it was.
You said it was a good day. Like, you guys didn't have any conversations about your relationship. You guys didn't go down like the rabbit hole, like had too many to drink, and you guys start getting.
No, when I tell you this, it made me so happy that he actually listened to what I had to say. With just, we'll get through it. This will be fine. It's a small hurdle that you and I together will get through, because.
I'm talking about the money, jobs,
daughters.
stress.
Yes.
Nothing relationship-wise, though. Like, no issues. Like, did you guys have a conversation about your relationship, or was it just about like
what's going on right now?
Got it.
I try to evoke it from him so he gets it off his chest, because I call him the volcano, where eventually he's going to erupt.
Right.
And what he has learned in his classes is to communicate, which is a huge thing in a relationship, where he has been practicing communication. So he actually talks to me about things and unburdens himself. Put it on me. I'll sit there and try and figure it out for you. Like, I have almost everything. Not a worry. Just tell me. Get it out of you.
Right.
But it was, when I tell you, I was so happy. Like, it was such a good day. I kid you not. The weather was beautiful outside. I'm the one that had him go inside so we can do puzzles and painting and listen to music or whatever else he wants to do. So then he starts doing whatever it is we're doing together in the living room, and then starts talking, because I think he gets comfortable with, okay, you know what? We're here. It is a good day. Let me go ahead and explain myself. So I know. Nobody else knows, but I know. Nobody knew George better than I did. I say that I knew George better than himself. And I tried in every way, shape, and form. Ask everyone. I helped him. I took care of him. I miss him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night. I miss him a lot.
I mean, is there any chance it got to be too much for you and you couldn't handle taking care of him? And
I never stopped.
trying to.
I never stopped. That's what I'm here for. I never stopped. I'm here now, I'm still trying to help him.
Yeah, we just don't, I mean, it's unexplainable how he got these injuries, and
I have no idea.
you were the only one with him.
100% right hand to God. I have no idea how he got them. Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody.
You had mentioned that you would take photos, videos, just kind of like a proof and just in general.
Yeah, I started documenting at one point, but that was way before, I think, the last time that he got arrested, where he was flying off the deep end. But then I had him bailed out. I got him out of jail.
Right.
But because he had violated the pretrial diversion, this time it's probation, so you don't have a choice in it. You have to go to see your probation officer. You have to go to these classes. It's court ordered. Where it took him a while to get used to it and understand, they're not messing around. I even went down and met his probation officer, which I say, she's wonderful. That's one of my questions to him to talk to you about. Hugged me and said how much she knows that I take care of him. She called me personally one time when George was at work, when he was working. 42-minute phone call. She and I just saying how grateful she is that George has me. And she knows how hard I'm working to help him, just as she is and just as the classes will. So once he started actually going on a regular basis to the probation officer and then to his substance abuse class and his, I don't know what BIP stands for, Matters Intervention Program, and actually listening to what it is everyone had to say, he changed. Like I could see a change in him, where before lashing out, he would think about it. And would always come home and show me his papers, and we would look over his papers together. Where it's like, wow, you actually are learning this in class? And some of the stuff that they would show him, like videos, he would come home and be like, Sarah, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Because for a video that he watches to make him feel that way, where it's like, oh man, I have done her wrong. But he's changed. He changed.
And that's why you're still with him, even though he's done all these things to you. And
when I tell you I love him, I love him.
And when you love somebody, you have limits.
Everybody tells me that. All my neighbors told me that. The office, property manager.
At some point, somebody gets enough, then they have to do something to defend themselves.
I would just flee. And I don't know if you would like to see on my phone, or I think it's actually on a laptop. I actually, because, and you have to understand too, I have, like, prior to classes in PO, kicked him out. How many times? I had him arrested. How many times?
But you also went down and dealt with
I
it
know.
the next day.
I know.
What's on your laptop?
What was I going to tell you? Oh, previously, I actually looked up how to file a restraining order.
Okay.
Because I would take him out, his parents, because of them constantly having to take him back in, his bags of clothes, all his stuff. The last time, the father came out and irate and just not even, I don't even know if he knew Lucas was in the car, just opened the back of my car and just started throwing all his crap in, just throwing it, like the car would jostle, he was throwing all his stuff. At that point, because I continually did it, not continually, I think I maybe did it 3 times, and he has nowhere else to go, they got fed up and said, no, either you're staying there or you're staying here, but you're staying here at their place. It's permanent. You're not going back over there anymore. So what happens is, he pursues me. So I don't know if y'all know where Katie Way Trail is. Okay, so it's literally right there from our apartment. Would ride his bike to work, but before he would leave extra early and come up to the wall, stand on top of his bike and poke his head over, because he would know that I would be outside having my morning cigarette and cup of coffee. And I would also know too what time he would get off of work, where I would know, come getting off of work, he's gonna do the same thing. So it's not like I ever got like a break from him, where I told you all yesterday, or whenever it was, I started to feel that it was too much togetherness. And when you have too much togetherness, friction happens. So I'm gonna go ride my bike. I'm gonna go upstairs and read a book. But every waking moment he wants to be with me. So, and mind you, our townhome is either upstairs or downstairs. So it's like, if you would like to sit downstairs and watch a movie or play on the laptop, look at some jobs, you're more than welcome to. I'm just gonna be upstairs maybe watching one of my shows or maybe reading a book. So, and then when that would happen, we really needed that. So what's for dinner? And then we would cook together and eat dinner and then crawl in the bed and watch a movie.
You're talking about this is like recent? I don't know, you kind of like lost me. Like what
It was a little while ago.
But now you're talking about tension building up and that you need space. So have you been feeling that way lately, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, my thing is too, so you all know, I hate that you can't talk to her, but Dee, his ex-wife, when I say a monster, she's a monster. Like she withholds their children from speaking to him. So he gets upset about that, and then she like completely berates him about.
Oh, let's just take a little break. My Lord. First of all, a couple of observations with Sarah. Sarah's not a dummy. She's not. She thinks she's the smartest one in the room, but she's not. She's not a dummy. Let me tell you. She felt like going down here without a lawyer, she could just talk herself out of it. And she knows that I got to make him look bad to take the attention off of me. If I could prove that he was the aggressor, if he was the one that constantly, quote unquote, stalked me, and, I repeatedly tried to get away from him, but he would pop his head over the fence. You know what I'm saying? I was the one trying to get away from him, but he kept popping up. So what you think they're gonna say? Okay, well, you right. Go home. He shouldn't have been stalking stalking you. Then she doesn't realize that they're walking her right into the trap. So they started off with letting her know the injuries that the what do I want to call it? What is that called, y'all? It's not a mortician, the medical examiner, right? The injuries that they found on him, that's number one. Okay, so that shows that you did do something to him because you said that he's been there the last couple of days or what have you. So somebody had to do something to him, and most likely it was you. Then they're asking you about your alcohol tolerance. How much do you typically drink, and when do you know when you're under the influence? Then they're asking, since she opened the door to the documented abuse and evidence, now you're just leading them right where they want to go. So now, of course, they're going to go right to this footage that you forgot that you made, Sarah. Well, maybe she is a little dumb. She's a little dumb. She's book smart, but dumb in this situation, I guess I should say. I don't want y'all coming after me. But she's not realizing that they're letting her talk herself right into a hole, and that's when she gets crazy, right? What y'all saying over here? Mhm. Mhm. Bailing him out. Bailing him out. You seen him. I just read him to you, dog mom. She did. Right. Right. She's very, very intelligent, very book smart, but right now, and see, that's why we know this already. You don't go without a lawyer, Sarah. I don't care how smart you think you are. I don't care how smart you are. The police are trained to manipulate. I say this all of the time. The police are trained to manipulate. They're not there to befriend you or anything else. They're fact finders, and they're going to get what they want out of you. And so they're asking the right questions. They already see you're going to run your mouth, and they already see that you shift blame. So they just letting her run her mouth. Run her mouth, run her mouth. Me. It's all about me. I didn't do anything. And if anything, I tried to help him or what have you. Even though he knocked the daylights out of me, I still tried to help him because I love him. However, he was the aggressor. And what she fails to understand is the one piece of information that is going to cause her to go to prison is what they're getting ready to play in a few minutes. And she has no explanation for it. She can explain everything else in great detail, but this video they getting ready to play, it's a wrap for you.
Money, about the father that he is, what he did to her, all this other stuff. It doesn't matter. I mean, mind you, this is not like the recent, but which is why he didn't even bother calling anymore, because he knows that she's going to answer and he's going to have to talk to her, so therefore he can't talk to his daughter. The other time he talked to her, made her talk to Cookie. That's on my cell phone too, so you can see it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
What does she have to do though with anything about what happened Sunday and into Monday? Like,
No, I'm just saying, like, previously,
Okay.
why the incidents, what happened is she plays a big part in it.
okay.
On
Is
top
that-
of job
yeah.
and money and groceries and all that.
Okay.
Sunday, when I tell you this, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is there anybody else at the house?
It was just me and him.
Since talking yesterday, do you remember any like timelines better? Like what time you guys were playing? What time he was zipped up in the luggage? What time you
I
went
told you-
upstairs?
We started because we cleaned the house a little bit, did some laundry.
You started the activities around 4, you said?
Yes, around 4:30ish, and then,
You just said that it was dark when you were playing hide and seek, and I'm just curious
Yeah.
if you remember.
but when we were outside, that's where we would start
Mhm.
and talk about things, and then eventually I was the one that had him come inside, so we could
About
do
what
stuff.
time, do you remember what time that was, is what she's asking?
And you said you went up to bed around midnight,
Midnight-ish.
fell asleep around 12:30ish. but those are the only times I have. So I have 4 and I have midnight. So there's a big gap. So I'm just curious, like, if you recall when you went upstairs to hide in the shower or
Like when we started to play, hide and seek.
yeah.
Well, we went inside probably about, if I had to guess, we weren't out there too long, maybe about 6-ish. Then
I'm talking about from hanging out outside and like, okay.
well, we have 2 beach chairs that are out there and
Right.
just enjoy the weather.
Gotcha.
Plus it's starting to get dark and gnats and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So let's go inside. I don't want to be out here anymore.
Okay.
All right, let's go. So we're doing whatever. We did it for a while because that puzzle, I don't know if they took it or they saw it. Worked on the puzzle again, finished it. Started to paint. Well, started listening to music for a little bit. Started to paint. Can we turn the music off? No problem. Started at the top, paint, whatever. Maybe, gosh, that puzzle, we worked on that for probably a good hour and a half. So 8 o'clock-ish?
Is when you went to hide upstairs originally?
No, that's when we were like painting. So then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to paint anymore. Let's just, come on. Okay, you want to play hide and seek? What he does is, okay, tag, you're it. Which looks like, okay, we know. Okay, take off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
And then you went upstairs and then he didn't come up and you came down and the suitcase was there originally because you guys were planning to do donations, so it was already there. Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship? Mm-hmm. When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there and it was there
Yes.
and it was in play because.
Why do you say it like that, though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
Well,
I mean, we were playing.
No, I know,
that time, but
I'm saying, I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game, so.
the suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back. If you, I know the CSI people saw our closet. Our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son's clothes need to be cleaned out really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at them. So he took it upon himself, including that suitcase, to take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations and everything, and just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school.
No, I'm just asking, in the past, like, have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not? But obviously,
No.
I understand, you know, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter. You were laughing, he was laughing. But what I'm just asking is in the past, like, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We were actually this last game running out of places to hide because we have a townhome where it's upstairs or downstairs. So.
Okay, so do you remember making any videos or maybe having any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
Well,
No?
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay. But your phone is password protected, you have the password, he has the facial recognition, so it's not like someone else could be on your phone.
No, I have both.
But you have the face and the password?
Yes.
Yeah, but he only has the face, correct?
No.
To be able to get onto your phone, you told me that he looks at the phone.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were asking me if I did. Yes, it's me.
Okay, does he have access to your phone? Because you said it's your phone. Okay, how does he have access?
Sarah, can I buy your phone? Yeah, it's right there on the kitchen counter.
Okay, but how does he get into it? Is it password protected?
So he'll come and get it to me, and I'll just do the face thing. Where sometimes too, like he'll joke with me and say, okay, I need to borrow your phone. And he'll hold it while I'm cooking or something, do the facial recognition.
Okay, so he doesn't know the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition.
No.
But he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm
Yes.
assuming other
Well,
than, right. So this wasn't there Sunday, right. So to your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, I maybe took a picture of them, the two of Tess and
The dogs.
and George and them dancing, but I mean, it's just Tess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have something that I want to show you that we found, and it was from your phone. Mm-hmm. You see it?
Can you move it
Ooh,
around?
they done walked you right into that trap.
No, I don't remember that.
For everything you've done to me.
Your battery's off that.
Shut it down.
Oh, okay.
Let me,
The battery doesn't last very long.
it used to last a lot longer than that. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Let me just grab some
All
more.
right. No, I was just simply asking because you had a look on your face when she asked you if you've ever done that before. You looked kind of shocked. And
No,
okay, why did you say it like that? Like,
I don't think you all understand who I am. Where,
well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. I excel at everything.
And
I would not do that.
You wouldn't lock zip somebody in a suitcase?
Well, I didn't like completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for him to get out.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning on going upstairs and going to sleep.
Okay. No, it's just the way you said it.
You guys are scaring me.
That's what you
You're
get.
just trying to
You
work
talk
it.
this
You have
stuff
your phone, but you want
into
to
it.
know what's on it?
Yes, please. Is it long? Because I don't know how much I can take.
No.
I don't know how much I can take. Do I have to watch this? I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it. Is that okay?
Well, it's on your phone, and you can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah, we're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
Look at her.
it's that long?
2 minutes.
No, that's-
For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me. Fuck you.
Mm.
Fuck you.
That's you, your voice.
Stupid.
Oh.
That's my name. Don't wear it up. Yeah, that's when you do it. You choke me.
I don't want to watch it, please.
Last time we talked to you, you had said that you put him in the suitcase, he had two fingers hanging out. and you
I
went
flipped
to
him
bed.
over. I flipped him over, and that's where it was.
There's two different videos and a still picture where, yeah, it shows you flipping him in different positions and him saying that he can't breathe
Oh.
and you saying, fuck
So
you.
this is upside down. So in order for him to have gotten into it,
It was flipped up.
Right.
right, it was flipped up normal,
Yes.
like as if you're packing something. So this is upside down.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
So this image is upside down, and then this small video that occurred 11 minutes later, it's flipped over the other way, closer to your dining room table.
Okay.
Now he's obviously still in there. So he didn't, how did it go from the back to the front?
I flipped it.
Okay.
My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep,
Well, that's what you did.
but not intentional.
No, you told me you went upstairs because
But
you were
Stop
getting ready
here.
for bed.
stop here.
Okay, but
Where's here?
show me where you can see any fingers coming out, because they're at the end.
It's, and his head's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So going like this, rather than going all the way up, it's like this.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
And it doesn't show a hole.
There's no hole. There's no fingers. I don't see his fingers. There's no hole.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't know, like, what you want me to tell you.
I'm just showing you. I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the
I
other video.
understand. I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end, it sounds kind of like a.
No, it's not malicious.
Well, saying fuck you,
It's not malicious.
then what is that?
What does fuck you mean to you?
Well,
Like if I were to tell
or like he
partner-
does. Like, I get told everything by a white woman, so
Okay.
my intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself
Yes.
out, but the video shows
That's
at
what I
no
told
point
you.
can I see his fingers.
He'll be up here any minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you.
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you think
He's not
he's
able to get
joking?
out.
You told me he was laughing, and I.
We were
The
before.
video, there's no
When we first got in
laughing.
there, both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for like a long time prior to you
No,
recording this?
no.
So it goes from funny to no longer funny,
But
but
I
you're the
didn't,
only one laughing.
but I didn't think that he was, like, panicky. Like,
So
What?
pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, 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 I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before too, where it's just like, he thinks that he's, woe is me kind of thing, where it's like, I
He's
don't,
never been locked in a suitcase, that's
No.
why he couldn't get out, so.
it's kind of, I thought it was
And you know
like
the oxygen.
crying wolf kind of thing.
Okay.
And again, my
But,
plan,
but nowhere in there is he laughing, is he joking, he is begging. And you're the only one laughing,
okay,
and you're the only one saying derogatory comments, like you're mad.
no, please don't, I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but like, it's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me, like,
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
well, I know what,
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
No.
Why don't you remember making the video?
probably because we had been drinking.
But you were drunk.
Just because I went upstairs and, just because you're drunk doesn't mean that
You
you,
told us times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mhm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits. In my experience, if somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of making two videos and a video and taking a photo, they are intoxicated.
okay, I understand where you're all coming from.
Well,
I
we're
get
just trying
it.
to make sense of it. We're trying to
I get
figure
it.
out
We're
what
trying to
you're
figure
saying.
out this
You
video.
explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did, like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was, my plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to, he'll be up here any minute.
But you
Again.
willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get
My
ready
plan
for
wasn't
bed.
also to leave him in the suitcase,
So why didn't you take him out?
because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think he's asking to come out? He
I
can't
didn't do it
breathe.
intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not giving it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the
And what was
suitcase,
your plan?
waiting for him to come upstairs.
And then when he did it?
I fell asleep.
You said you were up there 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, somebody not coming up.
Knowing that the last time you saw him was in the suitcase, 30 minutes later, you're like, maybe I should go check on him. Maybe I shouldn't.
No,
But that didn't cross your mind because
that's
it
like,
didn't happen.
that's like an assumption, like, that's what you all are thinking, just,
We're asking.
it's the
You tell
whole,
us.
it's the drinking. That's what it is. It's the drinking. I thought it was like, I thought he was okay. Like, I didn't, that,
He's
you all,
telling you he's not. He's telling you, Sarah, I can't breathe. He's saying your name and you're like, that's my name, don't wear it out.
guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, he has, nobody understands our relationship. This whole suitcase thing, Never happened before.
Would you leave someone else in a suitcase? Would you leave someone in a suitcase jokingly? Because it was a
No.
joking matter. You put them in there jokingly. Would you leave jokingly in there? And you love it, right? And you
I
love
wouldn't do that
George.
to him either. I wouldn't do that to him.
So I just,
Well, it's not like, again, I don't think you all understand. Like,
I mean,
that was not my intention.
Well,
Y'all don't have any idea what
by
I've
your
done
acts,
for him.
but by your acts, and that's exactly right. You get to the point where you've done so much for somebody and they don't show
No.
you any appreciation.
He did.
Not by your words in the video. I don't get that.
He did.
Because you bring up the fact that when he's choking you, you can't breathe. That's how you felt when he cheated on you. You couldn't breathe. And you verbally several times told him just fuck you.
well, you said it in the video, but you won't let us play the rest of it. You don't
And
want
When
to.
I say cheating, it's on his phone.
Okay. Cheating is cheating.
I
And
think
if
so
you-
too.
Exactly.
It's your definition of cheating, though. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the word cheat means.
And that's what you told him in the video. That I couldn't breathe when you cheated on me.
No.
That's how I felt when he said, Sarah, I can't breathe. And you told
I
him,
don't
fuck
know
you.
what you, this is,
What would you say if somebody told you that they had done this?
done what?
You set somebody in a suitcase and went up and went to bed.
Do y'all not think, so you all think that it's like, oh, good, I got him in there, now I'm gonna go to sleep? Is that what you guys are trying to assume?
Yes.
Or trying to, like,
We're just, the video is very portraying of the opposite of what you told us.
no.
It does
Now, I'm wondering how she thought it, first of all, for him to position himself in a suitcase, I'm more than positive his knees were far up in his chest. It's dark. How in the hell was he supposed to know there was an opening and to put my hands there to try to get out? He probably couldn't move at all, except for the little bit that we saw. What is she thinking? Like she backed herself into this corner. I believe that she didn't do it intentionally. I really do. I don't think that she thought that he could die in there. A lot of people are unaware of positional asphyxiation. They don't realize that, the positioning of a body in a way that compresses your lungs could kill you ultimately. I don't think she was aware of that. And again, I don't think that she put him in there with the intent of him dying. I don't. But again, the video itself is damning, as well as the fact that when you got up and learned that he wasn't upstairs with you and that he was still in the suitcase and your actions after that, I don't believe anything else that you have to tell me. Because a person that didn't do something on purpose or without malicious intent, your first thought would be panic and I gotta get help, even if he was purple. Why are you calling Brian and outside smoking and drinking Dr. Pepper? Now you trying to say that he appreciated everything you did when a few seconds ago you was sitting up here talking about how you had a bloody forehead and he was just too needy and always up under you and would get off work and look over the fence and all of this stuff. She just don't know what to do. Look at her face, it's all balled up.
it is not leading up, it is not matching what statement you gave us in the car.
So,
And that's why we want to know,
and I don't remember doing those.
the injuries are not consistent with what you told us. So we have a lot of inconsistencies, and this video explains itself. It really truly does.
You don't think that I have thought about that?
Thought about the video or thought about?
But no, again, if you don't mind, please. So you all are assuming that it's like, oh, good, I got him in there, now I'm gonna go to sleep? Is that what you all are assuming?
Well, it's not an assumption when that's what you told us that
That's
happened.
what happened.
And the video,
Yeah.
I mean,
I went to sleep.
I'm not gonna say,
you thought he could
Goes
get out
off,
on his
yes.
own, but the video shows that he can act out on his own.
but when I unzipped it with one finger,
From the outside.
but it had the hole in it.
And you're claiming that it had a paper clip, so that's what assisted you in doing it.
No.
That's what you told us.
When I had my sweatshirt, I said I thought it had a paperclip on it. It's
But
got,
the zipper part is broken.
yeah, which is why we were gonna zip it.
Yeah.
I just,
You were able to unzip it from the outside very easily, because that's the way they're designed.
but you could on the inside too. I don't know how.
So why wouldn't he have gotten himself out if he could?
I don't know, like, I don't know if you saw, like, where the hole was. I don't
I
know.
didn't see a hole.
No,
I didn't see no fingers
you're the
sticking
only
out.
one that. That's what I'm saying, like,
Exactly. Exactly. She just said what I said. At no point in the video, the recording, did she say, if you want to get out, find a hole. She didn't say anything. He said, I can't breathe. That's on you. You could at least told him if it was a hole there where the hole was at. You didn't even do that. Now you trying to tell us, oh, well, it was a hole. He could have got out. How was he gonna know that? It's dark as shit in there. He can't what? You need to stop talking and get you a lawyer. Now y'all trying to say, "Oh, well, battered woman." No, 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 no. No. Mm-mm. That ain't it's just not gonna work. It's not going to work.
position and where his head would be, we should be able to see fingers. And then when it's flipped over onto this right side, again, his head is closer to us facing the video, so we should be able to see fingers. And we don't see anything. We see no movement of him trying to unzip it or physically unzipping it. All we see is pushing up, trying to push out of it.
Please do not assume.
I'm not assuming. I haven't assumed anything. I follow evidence.
But my intention was not, again, oh, good, I got him in there. Now I'm just going to go to sleep.
What do you think someone that knows nothing about this or hears just a little bit like, oh, they were playing around in a suitcase
She's been drinking,
and then
how
watches
do
that
they went to
video?
sleep? That's what happened.
But you let him out before. I mean, you put him in, so why didn't you take him out?
Because I was upstairs and I fell asleep.
No, before you went upstairs. You like consciously had to walk upstairs. I mean, you obviously remember going to bed because you were giving me a time frame on that. And you specifically told me that you went upstairs.
My intention is not for this to happen. I am sick about it. I've never done anything like this before in the past. I'm sick, especially with that. I thought I couldn't sleep last night. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. You tell us last night, you vividly remember this when you told us last night, that he was laughing, you were laughing, you put him in the suitcase, he has two fingers sticking out, and you go to bed. Now we see something totally different. And it actually shows you upset and, again, using derogatory terms to him when he's begging for his life to get out of that suitcase.
So but my thing is,
we're assuming, we're not assuming.
But the fingers, so it just happened to be that whenever I was videotaping or doing whatever else it was, just happened to not have that in it.
Okay. And you also in the video, you can't see any holes. There's nowhere in that where the zipper separates and you can see a hole. If there's a hole, he's pushing on it, begging you to get out. We should probably see that hole.
He essentially would have been able to get out.
Huh.
Alcohol.
Based off what you're telling us, he should have been able to get out.
Okay.
But the video shows him attempting to get out, begging to get out, and he can't. So that's just what we're trying to figure out. I don't know if maybe you had too much to drink, you zipped it up all the way, and then,
I did not zip it up all the way.
Okay, well,
I did not zip it up all the way. This is horrific, okay? Horrific.
it is terrible.
Horrific. I don't think I'll ever be right because of this. Ever be right. Dealing with everything else that I have in my life, personally. And then this, whom I loved. It was not intentional. I will put my hand on the Bible. It was not intentional. I would not do that to him nor anyone else.
But you did.
Not intentional.
You intentionally went up to bed.
I didn't intentionally go to bed because I'm thinking, okay, good, he can get out.
How did you not intentionally go to bed? You said you went upstairs and got into bed. That's intentionally going to bed.
Waiting for him.
And he doesn't come, but you don't go down to check on him.
So I happen to go to sleep. When I say go to sleep,
And what do you normally do when you go to
What
bed? What do you normally do when you go to bed?
What do you mean?
What is the bed for? Going to sleep.
Right.
So you go to
But
bed,
obviously
you
you
do
can
what?
tell too that, like, I've
You
been
go to
drinking
bed, you do
also.
what? Okay? You kept telling us, hey, I wasn't intoxicated. I wasn't this, I wasn't that.
Being drunk and intoxicated, which, yes, you can tell that I've been drinking, but
Okay? So if you weren't intoxicated, then why would you ever leave somebody in a suitcase that's begging to get out, that's telling you they can't breathe?
if I hadn't been drinking, you still think it would be the same thing? Where it's like, hop in, I'm gonna go to sleep. Is that what you all are trying to do? To portray me
I'm not trying
as?
to do anything. I'm simply asking you to explain to me what happened.
Everything was fine and dandy.
I don't want to call it fine and dandy.
Was fine and dandy.
Explain
You all
to me.
don't, okay, for me to tell you this, again, mind you, I've been without him for a day now.
Mhm.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know what you all want me to tell you, because this was not in any way, shape, or form, hand on the Bible, intentional.
Okay. So you just
I
left him there
didn't
to
kill
teach
him.
You left him there to teach him a lesson.
I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You got up and walked away. How is that not intentionally leaving him there?
Because I'm looking at the hole, knowing that it's there. He'll get out no problem. Because you don't.
Then he doesn't.
But
Because you don't go check on him. You say you're up for 30 minutes and he doesn't come up. You don't go down and check on him?
I'm in the bed.
You even moved,
It goes
I mean,
off.
you admit to moving the suitcase, like, over.
Roll
So
it.
you roll it, like, it's not like,
I didn't want it to be like that. Don't.
you didn't want him to be upside down. How do you even get upside down?
Right.
Mm.
You guys are killing me right now.
I just want you to hear.
That's how he talks to me most of the time. I don't know how you want me to say it.
I'm just trying to figure out what you would expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a suitcase.
I didn't mean to leave him in there
Okay.
What's your reasoning for, not calling 911 sooner?
because I didn't know what to do and how horrific it was. I called Ryan, and like, what, 5 minutes later I called you guys? Not even 5 minutes. Nonetheless, that I had to like I was trying to do CPR. I had to get him out and try to do CPR and then called you guys. And it was continually doing CPR with the dispatch on the phone, where he had me count out loud to help me focus on what I was doing.
I don't know how, I mean, you can sit here all day long and say, I thought he was gonna get himself out, but he didn't, and you went upstairs, and you stayed there for 30 minutes before you fell asleep.
How, but can I say too,
You
like,
chose not to ever at any point during that 30 minutes walk back down and check on him.
no, wait 1 second, because I know, like, with you all, and then, like, because you continually ask me, like, time frames, where I told you, like, I don't bother even looking at the clock most of the time. So it's like a guesstimate. So for all I know, maybe it was 10 minutes.
Okay. But the point is, you left the living room where he was begging for help and went upstairs. Regardless of how long you were there, you left. You said,
All right, I'm gonna skip a little bit.
But he is over here legally. So he's trying to work on getting his green card.
what does that have to do with you using the
I'm-
restroom?
They didn't want to be involved.
No, that's
Get
not
back
right,
to
because,
her.
we had
Let's
some
go
of the people in the
to,
neighborhood.
we're gonna
But
go
he-
to her list of commands because she's just gonna keep going round and round. We already seen this or whatever. She's not gonna admit to anything. She's backed into a corner. So now let's listen to the list of demands from this quote unquote battered woman, allegedly.
Is over here legally. So he's trying to work on getting his green card.
What does that have to do with you using the restroom?
They didn't want to be involved.
No, I was asking last night, because, we had several different people in the
Assuming
neighborhood come up
that
saying
Eli
that
and
she was
Kim,
drunk on a regular basis.
Eli and Kim. Okay. Did you ask any next door?
Those are the ones next door that she asked to use the restroom, and they said no.
No, she said no. And like I said, she's not a nice person.
What are your questions?
Yep.
Who's coming?
Did you do the
No,
fingernails?
you said that we could.
And you don't have to allow us to do it, just so you know, so don't think that it's.
I don't have a problem.
Okay. Just make sure.
So am I getting my phone back?
Not today,
What about Lucas's laptop?
not today.
What does that mean?
We're still going through everything.
Oh, that's fine.
You're the one just telling us there's videos that we need to see on it, so we need
That's
to do our
fine.
due diligence that we go through everything.
See, and that backfires on me now too, because now you all think that I had even more, in quotes, intent to do what I did then, which was not intentional.
What's that?
And is that correct?
She's asking about your tagging in your hand.
No, but I'm asking if that's correct.
No, I'm not gonna agree with anything that you're saying, that you're,
Oh,
So, from the doctor.
Liz.
Do you all inform her, or do I need to call her?
we don't have to inform her, so if you would like to call her, you can. Are you saying because he's on probation?
No, but because of the nice lady that she is and all that she's done for him, I I didn't know how it was.
Legally, we just have to tell his parents, and we don't go telling,
Everybody else.
I didn't even know who his probation officer was, so no, I wouldn't go
So
tell.
the same thing for classes. I need to do that too.
Classes. You need to do what?
Substance abuse class and his battered
Okay.
intervention.
Yeah, we
Something
don't
else I
have
was
to
just
call
getting ready to
him.
ask. So, other than this, so initially, what was the cause of death?
She is still pending because she wants to hold the body for an additional day to see if more of those bruises turn into something bigger. And she's doing some other tests that she's got to do. So she's pending it for now.
So, and that couldn't have been because of him being in the suitcase? Or
That's
y'all
what
saying
she-
that I
that's what-
physically did it?
That's what she's determining.
So,
The ones on the head, I asked her, could that have been from the suitcase, and she said she didn't think so.
I didn't touch him, nor did he touch me. I'm leaving it at that.
Yep, that's gonna be your defense out the window. That's your defense out the window. You said you're a battered woman. Where's the imminent danger? Where's the threats? You keep saying that.
So I don't know if you all know how to do this, because so that's what I was gonna ask you. So are you all updating his parents today, or when he gets final, whatever?
What does it matter? What we tell his parents? What do you mean?
Because
We're gonna talk to with them.
Yeah.
okay,
I have to
but it's
tell,
gonna come down to me.
What do you mean?
Like, so it's being put on me.
Who said that?
But I'm not, so what is it to tell them?
We're gonna give them an update, just like we gave you an update on their autopsy.
Okay, so it's whatever
Well,
bruise,
here's the
scratch,
thing,
and
here's the thing.
whatever on the head.
We had to deliver news to them last night that their son was dead. There's not a whole lot of conversation that goes on after that. It's not a very easy.
Was
thing
it
to do.
yesterday or Sunday? Sunday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Did we not meet you yesterday? We met you yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. Right? Did we not meet yesterday?
It's a valid question.
Really? Yes, on Monday.
Okay.
Got it.
Perfect.
So I don't know if I asked you guys or how I find this out other than talking to his parents, which is not gonna happen.
Probably a terrible idea.
How do you guys suggest me finding out about funeral?
That's not even something that's been probably talked about between the family. That's not something we asked. We have no way of.
I didn't know, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
It's
So,
gonna be up to them to make the arrangements of what they want to do. Like she just told you, just being told last night, I'll pretty much be willing to wager that they have not even considered what they're gonna do.
My body can't even be released, so.
No, it's-
I've been there with parents, grandparents, and uncles. So I don't know if I have the right to or not, but like I was gonna call his former employees whom he really cared for and let them know.
You can call whoever you want.
I just don't want to do something that I'm not supposed to. how do I go about getting his wedding ring, engagement ring?
Is that the medical examiner's office? It'll come to us eventually, and then.
It'll be released to
Oh,
the next of kin.
Yeah, okay.
I bought it for him.
That is a civil issue. It was on his finger, it goes to them, they're the ones that are gonna release it, we don't have any say in that.
So I won't get that back.
And Jorge's family will never get Jorge back.
So
What
for all
I'm
of this,
mad at
like,
is
how do I
she
find out
had
what's
the
going on?
I'm mad that she had the audacity to sit here at home, write out this laundry list of issues, questions, and concerns that she has with the police. Take her tail down there voluntarily, cross her legs, and question them like they're on trial, and then become upset at the answers that they give her, as if she's going home. She thinks she's going home. Not one time she didn't have questions about the autopsy. She didn't ask permission to call his family to offer her condolences. No, at no time did she express any concern for his children. She didn't cry for him. Nothing. Nothing. All she did in this whole interrogation was make him look like the bad guy with a sprinkle of good days in there. And then you're asking all of these questions that have nothing to do with anything. She is truly a piece of work. I can't.
How many, like, what's been found?
What do you mean?
Pillow with stain, swabs of stain from pillow, suitcase.
That will all be sent off to
That's the
the
only-
daily Florida Department of Law Enforcement. They do their testing.
So, and then like whatever white can with blood and necktie with blood was from the suitcase. Why would you guys, oh, you'll see it in there, the baseball bat and the keys. And this is just his phone, my phone, and the laptop.
Yeah, when anything can be released, we will release it, but we are very early in this investigation, and it's not an
So-
overnight process, unfortunately.
So what's next?
They're gonna come and swab your fingers.
No, I'm talking about like in the long run. Like, what do I need to like, do I need to be doing something or like,
I can't tell you like, what to do.
I mean, like, so like for, like, I don't understand, like, I don't know if you guys are just gonna like, because it makes it sound like to me, like I'm being accused of something that was not intentional. I'm being accused of it.
Mhm.
And a handful of other things that I'm being accused of.
Okay.
So I don't want to be at home with, and you guys show up.
I understand.
So,
We're still investigating. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
so is there going to be concrete whatever it is, and then it's like, okay, this is what it is kind of thing, or like, because I've done the whole court thing, I've done the whole attorney thing, I've done whatever. So if I'm not admitting anything about being intentional and I killed George,
Okay.
That's not the situation, but it's trying to be pinned on me.
Okay.
That was not my intent, but it's trying to be pinned on me. So however, or whatever it is I need to do in order for that to be proven, then I need to do so, which is why I'm trying to get my ducks in a row.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking what the next step is, other than me getting my nails swabbed.
I mean, you want me to tell you how to not be accused of a crime? Is that what you're asking? Like, I don't know what you.
I'm trying to prepare myself for whatever may need to be done, so I can, I
I
guess,
wouldn't-
stick up for myself.
I mean, I think you're doing just fine. You came, you talked.
I just don't want you guys to, again, show up and in the house.
Well, we did tell you yesterday that we don't want to do anything around your son, hence why you came to us. So I don't know why you think that's gonna change.
That and or me not just show up back home,
I'm sorry, what? That or what?
me just not show up back home. That's what, oh, he's so happy that I'm staying over at the house with Brian, like so happy. And I'm not going back to the house, to my house, for however long I can stay over here because of whatever to blow over.
Mhm.
And again, if you don't mind me asking, so for whatever it is you all are claiming from the videos, which, yeah, is that what you're gonna tell him, like his parents? It's like, oh yeah, and by the way, she did.
Did what?
I mean, what would you tell him?
Why?
I don't think it really matters what we're gonna tell the parents.
Oh yeah, it is, it's fuel to the fire.
Well, we can't hide things, and I don't know, I'm not saying that we're gonna go and tell them every single thing we have. But again, this is the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that's public record, so eventually, like, this all will come out.
Mhm.
So, it's like, I'm
It
not,
matters, honey.
you're making it sound like we're gonna tell them something, so then your life is in danger, and I don't like that accusation. So, let's just nip that in the butt right now.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
I cannot
What are we gonna
choose,
tell them?
But we can't even, but so technically there's no concrete report yet even.
right, so,
So it's,
you want me to, like,
I'm telling
tell
you exactly what I'm
I'm
gonna tell them.
I don't know what I'm
That's
gonna tell them, I don't know what I'm gonna tell them, let's just leave it at that. Just like, you don't know why you went upstairs, I don't know what I'm gonna tell them.
So
Parents that are dealing with.
can I call you the way that I did last time?
Yeah, my phone is an open line. Missy should be there. I don't watch TV.
Yeah, we'll come up with
I get it. Look, I get it. That was really bad.
Mhm.
So that's what scares me. Like, what do I need to plan on? Like, what do I need to plan on? I promise you, on my son's life, it was not intentional. I promise you, on life, it was not intentional.
I don't know you. I can't say I know anything about you. I don't know what would be a true statement, what would not. I mean, if you're promising on your son's life, that's fine.
That's how much it means.
Sorry.
That's how much it, look, that's how much it means.
Okay.
I hope you take that to heart, please.
And it's documented that you said that, yeah, I get it.
Do you have any idea when I can get my phone back?
What's that one?
What do you think?
It's a Magellan. I mean, our digital forensics unit is, got a lot of cases on their plate. I mean,
Well, and that's not technically my laptop, it's his laptop. When he plays, you'll see all the games that he has on there.
as soon as we can get that back, we will. As soon as we can release your phone, we will. But it doesn't, we have no way of being able to tell you because we don't have control over their caseload and how they arrange what they do. So I don't know. And at this point, I think, honestly, with everything else that's going on, it should probably be at the bottom of your list of worries.
It's not a big deal, there's nothing on the laptop anyway. So you will keep me posted, like updated.
Mhm.
That's my thing, is I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in the meantime.
I don't know, I don't know what to tell you though. Like, what?
But you all have more information than I do, where it's, yeah, you might want to, or yeah, you might want to.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, we have more information on what?
Like,
We told you everything that we have. You know everything that we know. And most of it we got from you.
but like I was telling her, like, yeah, that's bad, like, which I swore in my son's life was not intentional. So that's why I'm trying to figure out what I need to do for myself
Okay.
going forward with this, nonetheless, with his family. And are you all just showing up with Lucas in the house?
I think we've already both told you that we would be mindful in any situations.
So do you guys, I guess you're gonna call me tomorrow? Or do we need to come back down here?
I'll chat with you next time. I have no idea what I'm gonna call you next.
Isn't the report come out tomorrow?
Our report.
I'm just saying a report is generated through us, and the sheriff's office is a public entity. So if someone were to come request something, then
No, I'm talking about, his autopsy.
she's waiting and doing more follow-up, but
She's looking at him against,
yeah.
but she won't be finished with him because she's pending further stuff.
So after this, what? I'm done for now? How long does this stuff take to get back?
The
Most
FDA
of that
results.
you won't get back. The swabs and stuff will stay.
I don't know about it. I hope you all can really both truly understand that that was not my intent. I'm missing a lot.
Don't seem
I-
like it.
But my question has remained the same. What do you expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a position like that?
Yes, but you have to understand too.
No, just what would you expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a position?
I have no idea because I've never done it before.
Why have you never done it before?
Why would I?
Exactly.
Why
Why
would I
did
do it
you?
before?
Why did you do it now?
I clearly have said why. Why?
No, you don't know why. You just know that it's not intentional, but you don't know why. But that's okay.
Really?
I'm not trying to force you to say something that you don't know.
It's feeding and petting. The fact that you guys would assume that I'm that kind of person.
We're not assuming anything. We're going by the facts. It happened.
Like you said, you don't know me. And so, for me to have to live with getting him out and doing what I did is punishment enough. I think that's why I haven't slept, because that's all I see. So that right there says something. Not my intention.
All right, let's read this home.
Nonetheless, I have to live without him now.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yep.
Punishment in itself.
Yeah. Definitely a tragic situation.
I'm through with alcohol. And it's unfortunate that.
And it was just like I was saying before, I just kind of, there was a time where she literally came up to me and she was like, no matter like what you hear, pretty much, like just kind of keep quiet about it, you know, respectfully, like.
Okay.
Why?
Because
That's how
anytime
you
we talk to somebody, to assure that everything that we talked about is
True and accurate to the best of that person's knowledge.
it's not a trick question,
To the best of my knowledge?
to the best of your knowledge.
Everything that you told us today is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, but it was not intentional.
Okay.
All right, do me a favor, stand up. I need you to turn around, face the wall, put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything in your pockets that I should know about?
No.
Okay.
Why is this happening?
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally.
We understand
He's
that.
still dead.
Well, we don't.
Someone needs to call Brian, please.
Okay.
Or can I not make a phone call?
You'll be able to make a phone call when we get you down to the jail.
So why is this
You'll be
happening? So this
Turn
is-
around, girl.
No,
That was a trick. I'm here to ask you to explain a few things to us, and
You're right, you're right.
your response to everything was basically, I didn't do it.
Intentionally.
Doesn't matter. It's still there. Do me a favor. Have a seat.
Really, guys?
Really.
So if I didn't show up. Why is
You're
this
trying-
happening?
Because
Before y'all said I could leave.
when
That I was done after this, after that.
we were done, yes, we were done. Absolutely.
So now, so that's what it is,
We are done.
right? Not intentional.
Okay.
So what am I supposed to do now?
You will,
Someone needs to call Brian.
Okay.
He's waiting for mom to come home. This was not my intention. I thought I was waiting for you all to come and figure out what's what and how many.
that's what we're trying to do.
And I was going to be able to go home and see. Now he's just not gonna have me come home. So there's
Well,
nothing that I can do.
nope.
All right, no,
There's nothing that I can do in order to go home and see and prepare.
not right now, no. You'll be afforded a time in court, you'll be afforded an attorney, you'll be afforded a chance to talk to a judge, and all that stuff will be worked out.
But what's the time frame for that though?
I have no way of being able to tell you. You should make first appearance probably like tomorrow morning, if not tonight, depending on how things are busy, how quickly you get down there. I
I had a
don't
sneaking
work in
suspicion
there.
this was gonna happen. And I need water like really bad, please. You all sit me down here.
Absolutely did not.
I just got those.
Okay. They are not allowed in the jail.
So I can't even smoke cigarettes if I go. And what am I supposed to do with my car?
You'll be fine where it is. When you get down there, you'll have 3 phones, you'll be able to call.
What, as soon as possible?
Yeah, once you get down there and get within, you'll be able to use a phone in the
But
waiting
how long
area.
will that take? Because I need to talk to Brian.
You know, it depends how busy, how quickly they get you through. I would say within the hour. It's a free phone call in the lobby, it's a free phone call.
bring you there
Yep. She has no clue.
So can I ask you, or whoever it is, those holding cells, the holding cells, am I gonna be put in one of those?
I don't know.
Last time I had a panic attack.
Let them know that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you're familiar with the big bay. As long as you go in and you act civil to them, they'll set you in the big bay. And you'll be left there for
Can
a
you
while.
request that while I'm
No,
there?
that's not up to us. We don't work at the jail.
As long as what you're saying is if you
If
don't
you
act
go in and act like this, you'll go in and they'll put you in the big bay. If you go in there screaming and kicking and yelling and
How
cursing
would I do
people, I don't know. I'm just letting you know that's what happens. That's how they weed people out. If you go in acting like this,
So I asked for the big day?
they'll put you there as long as you're acting like this.
Yeah, because the last time I had a major panic attack in the building.
I have not.
So what am I gonna do with my purse? Okay.
The person is gonna come, but the cigarettes and stuff can't, so.
I put the lock up too. My bad.
Oh, that's all good. Mine are the opposite, so.
What made you all decide to do this?
Made us decide to do this.
Uh-huh.
George is dead.
You guys, I knew this was gonna happen.
You did? Okay.
So I came
Well,
down
yeah.
here willingly,
Yes, absolutely. We were trying to figure out what's going on. We're still trying to figure out what's going on.
unintentionally.
Intentional or not, George is dead. You act like when you say unintentionally, that absolves you from everything.
I need to get, I have my, I don't know if it's able to do or not.
I apologize.
I have things in my car that I need to.
What kind of stuff do you have in your car that you're worried about?
Well, I have my medication.
Okay, they have a pharmacy there, so if there's something that you have to have right away, you'll be seeing a nurse.
It's panic attack stuff.
Well, again, when you get checked in, you're gonna be seeing a nurse, and that they have a pharmacy there, so they'll be able to take care of any kind of that stuff. That protocol is out of my realm. I don't work down there, so I don't know, but I do know they do have a pharmacy, and that you will be afforded to see somebody. Okay?
Hold on.
I can put that in. My bad.
Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres, a couple of hopeless romantics who just couldn't stop beating the shit out of each other. I'm not sure which one was the most aggressive of the two, but they really should have parted ways a long time ago. Anyone could plainly see that sooner or later, someone was going to get hurt. I think the battered wife defense is quite a stretch. After pushing a suitcase down a flight of stairs with a human inside, then she turned him over to keep him from successfully escaping. I think she was strong enough to push him down the stairs, but wasn't strong enough to lift and place him into the trunk of a car for dumping. But there is one question that really bothers me about this case. Why the hell did Jorge willingly get into the suitcase? There's just no way she forced him in. No one would put themselves in such a vulnerable position, especially around someone like Sarah. In fact, I'm pretty sure Brian is still alive because he refused to get in the suitcase. It's also why he is divorced. Is there anyone on earth who you trust so much you'd willingly get into a suitcase for them and allow them to zip you up? Even if Shirley Manson herself politely asked me to get in the suitcase, I'd say, hell no. And I'd be willing to do a lot of things for Shirley Manson. I'd consume an entire mile of her poop just to get.
That's enough, Mushmouth. Yeah. What y'all think? I just still don't see it. I don't. I think and this is allegedly, I think she hit him in the head and somehow got him in there. I don't know. This is such a mystery. But anyway, I'll leave that to y'all to discuss. I do want to watch one more video about Francine Hughes. She is the woman who successfully argued or had her attorneys argue a battered woman's claim. She then went on to become a nurse. If you have ever watched the movie The Burning Bed with Farrah Fawcett, the story or the movie was written about her. So we are going to watch, I think it's like 15 minutes if you have a little more time, watch the little documentary they made about her. So give me one second. It's 19 minutes. So hold on.
My dad was really punching her that night, really bloodied her up bad that night. And my mom decided she'd had enough. She put us in the car, went back in the house, came back out in a rush, crying. All his kids are screaming. And I remember looking back, just like this, and seeing flames through the trees. And that's how it began.
Francine Hughes burst into the guardhouse at the sheriff's office shouting, "I did it, I did it." What she'd done was killed her husband.
She poured gasoline under his bed and lit it, and he burned to death.
No other trial that originated in the state of Michigan has received such widespread national attention as the Francine Hughes murder trial.
She was driven to kill her husband by constant beatings during the 13 years they lived together.
I refuse to accept in my community the taking of the law into one's own hands and extracting the penalty of death.
I was the head of the criminal division in the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office. We were briefed on the fact that Francine Hughes had showed up at the sheriff's office about 8:30 the night before and had told the deputies there that she had set her husband on fire. Francine Hughes did not stab her husband or kill her husband while he was in the process of abusing her. He was sound asleep in a drunken stupor, and we decided at that time to charge her with first-degree murder. It was a big case in Lansing. It got picked up by the wire services and got national attention.
The disturbing question about the woman on the right is why? Why did Francine Hughes kill her husband, ignite his bedroom as he lay sleeping,
No, I stopped talking because I was asking you if you probably didn't hear me. I'm sorry. I was asking you, Bama, did you want me to stop playing it if it was triggering? I can just put the link in the description for those that want to watch it. So I was just for you to tell me if it was triggering for you or not to watch this. Okay.
From a defense lawyer's point of view, it looked like a loser from the beginning, but this was going to be my first big case on my own, and so I took it. The first meeting was at the Ingham County Jail in a small room, and I was immediately, you know how you get a sense about people? Francine was just someone who, when you met her, you thought, oh, this is a nice person.
It was me, my mother and my father, and my little brother and my two sisters. And she loved us kids. She just would do anything for us. And there were times, you know, my dad was spending all his money on drink when we didn't have food. And I remember a time when my mother would pop popcorn and mix grape jelly into water for us to drink so that we weren't starving. It was roughly about 6 years that we lived in Dansville. It was just so quiet and such a nice little town back then. And of course, a lot of stuff went on behind closed doors. She was scared a lot of my dad. I know that. She lived in constant fear. Little things would set him off. She might say a word, and just the inflection of the way she said it may set him off, start making him mad. It was just a cross the face or in the face with his fist. He had her in one of our living room chairs, had her pinned down in the chair, beating on her. I mean, from the back view, which I was the only one that seen this, you could see his arms just swinging and just hear him hitting her.
Police were called all the time. And unless they saw Mickey actually striking Francine, which was highly unlikely, they would leave. And that happened many, many, many times.
In 1977, police didn't arrest you for a misdemeanor unless they saw it committed. Does she have bruises? Yes. Does she look like she's been abused? Yes. The police will take a report, but they wouldn't make an arrest. On one or two occasions, my recollection is he did get arrested, but it was for the fact that he got belligerent with the officers.
He would just come home even madder. And a lot of times, my mom would get beat again. She did try to get away, but he would also tell her, there is nowhere you can go, bitch, that I won't find you. Most of the time, he treated her just as something that he owned. She was his possession. He didn't allow her even a friend. The times she did try to go to college and try to commute back and forth from there, he eventually got tired of that, made her burn her school books in the burning barrel in our yard. And then it escalated, and so he ended up getting up and abusing her, and that was quite a bad, severe case of abuse that night.
Smashing food in the kitchen, dumping out the garbage, rubbing it into my hair, hitting me. I remember how I felt sitting there. And it was just, I don't know if I can describe it to you, but it was the most alone feeling in the whole world. And I could hear the kids crying and hollering, "Mommy, are you all right?"
The police were there, and they saw that she was severely beaten up, and they didn't do anything. And then he said, right in front of the police officers, he said, I am going to kill you when they leave. Everything that had happened to her for years and years and years and years needs to be seen as an accumulation. And when you talk about a threat to a woman, it's that entire history that is the threat. To her, there really was no other way.
And I thought, I'm never coming back, never. And then I thought, because there won't be anything to come back to, and that's when I decided I would burn everything, because there wouldn't be anything to come back to.
There was a lot of sympathy, even in law enforcement, for her situation. And there was frustration that we didn't have a system that knew how to deal with it properly. It was at a time when the women's movement had gained traction in the country. Women's issues had gained traction. Her case became a cause very quickly.
The story of Francine Hughes made its way around feminist circles, and within a few weeks it gave rise to a movement.
What we're concerned with here is not merely the freedom of Francine Hughes, but the freedom of all women in our society. For how can women be free?
Women had been taught to keep that secret. You couldn't tell anybody or you'd get beaten up worse. So women had been silent about it. Now they took to the streets.
My name is Kat Upshaw. I was a battered wife who stayed at Transition House in Cambridge.
The country was full of women who had been waiting for the chance to say something.
More women are admitting that they too have been battered and don't know what to do about it. Police won't make arrests, prosecutors won't prosecute, because traditionally wife beating has been considered a family affair.
All of a sudden, Sylvia Chase was in town, and all of a sudden, NBC was in town, and then all the networks were in town, and Walter Cronkite was having it on his show.
The case of Francine Hughes is still a legal long shot. Even if a judge and jury can be convinced that she...
There was no question that the system had failed her. But in our system, the excuse for system failures is not to commit first-degree murder. She could have taken what little she had. She could have taken the kids, and she could have disappeared. I think the evidence is that she needed to punish him before she left, and that's why she set him on fire. Now, the other thing we learned just before the trial is that it turned out Francine Hughes, while taking business courses at the local business college, had a relationship, and she would send love letters, which suggested that she had a different motivation.
She only met him once or twice, and he was nice to her. Francine felt like somebody was caring about her for the first time in a long time. It actually made the jury more empathetic, and it actually made her understand more how lonely and how desperate her situation was. I did not think that I could convince a jury necessarily that she was not guilty because she was defending herself straight out. So I used the temporary insanity hook. She did tell me she knew what she was doing, but she couldn't stop herself from doing it. And she heard this voice in her mind, do it, do it, do it. I don't know whether the jury believed that or not, but I was sure that they were very sympathetic to her situation, that they wanted to set her free.
Last night, the jury accepted her temporary insanity plea and found her not guilty for that reason.
Her case, she hopes, will draw attention to the abuse of women. And how does it feel to be free?
It's on my face.
And then, of course, what followed was doing shows on TV, radio shows, and then, of course, the book, and then the movie. I don't think anything like that had been shown. It's really hard to watch. It was this case that raised the consciousness of the community. And by the end of 1978, Michigan had laws dealing with it.
Until very recently, the problem of battered wives got very little attention from police.
Now the courts, like the cops, are beginning to show unprecedented sympathy for battered women.
Did he ever punch you in the stomach when you were pregnant?
It led to legislators getting arrested. It led to law enforcement agencies wanting to find better tools. Nobody wanted to have another Francine Hughes case.
I was the lead prosecutor in the state of Ohio versus Tamia Hunter. This Hunter's boyfriend, Andrew Harris, had 9 stab wounds and he bled to death. A patrol officer arrived at the scene, a homicide detective arrived at the scene, and 2 paramedics arrived at the scene. And pretty much the only thing out of her mouth at that time was, we got into an argument and I stabbed him. It was pretty much of a clear case of murder.
I definitely did not wake up one day and say, I'm going to kill somebody. Andrew was just a loving and caring person. You know, he was nurturing, you know, protective. The physical violence started about 3 months in to the relationship after moving in together. He would hit me. He kicked me in the stomach, and he choked me more times than I really can remember because that was his tactic, so no one would really hear what he was doing. The majority of them were when he was drinking or when we were drinking together. I would forgive him, and he said he wouldn't do it again, and then it would happen again, and then I would forgive again. So I just didn't want to be that person or believe that I was truly in an abusive relationship. I never reported anything. It was an embarrassment for me to say that I was being abused. That night, Andrew was strangling me until I had passed out almost. He picked me up by my throat and had me off my feet, choking me. When he lifted me up, I did grab the knife off the counter. And it's after I could not get his hands off my throat or the kicking didn't make him stop, I used the knife. He went to the front door and he grabbed the front door as if he was leaving, but he grabbed his chest and he fell. I called 911, told them where I was, what happened, and then the police told me I was under arrest because Andrew had passed away. Because I had told the truth, I assumed that the law was on my side because it was my home and I was defending myself.
I currently represent about 10 women who are incarcerated survivors of domestic violence. Some of these women have been in for 20, 25, 30 years or more. Some of these women are in their 60s and 70s. The Francine Hughes case was eye-opening for a lot of people, but I think it was also an anomaly because she was acquitted, and in my experience, that does not happen very often. What needs to be understood is this history of all the abuse that's happened in the past, all the threats that have happened in the past.
All this stuff about being a battered woman came much later following her conviction. We didn't hear anything like this at her trial. And I think we live in a society, in a world where there are avenues. If you need help, there's help. She left him one time in her life. She did not have to resume that relationship with him the second time around.
The big question remains in people's minds who have not been through this or do not understand this, why didn't you just leave? A woman doesn't go on a first date, get punched in the face, and stay with this person. What happens is very calculating, very slow. You're humiliated, you're threatened. You have been told over and over and over again, you're worthless. And it builds and builds and builds. And you are more likely to be killed immediately upon leaving as any other time.
Governor John Kasich recently granted clemency to a Cleveland woman who killed her abusive boyfriend.
The Ohio Parole Board recommended the Cleveland woman's sentence be commuted after finding her abuse never came up at trial.
There were over 22 women that applied for this clemency project, and I was the sole person that received it. There are so many women that are in prison that deserve to be out more than me and as much as me. I definitely felt like I deserved to go to prison. I definitely take full responsibility for my actions. The only thing that I do know that if I didn't defend myself that night, it would have been me, not him.
Okay, guys. Can y'all hear me? I think so. I apologize if it was triggering. Um, I do. I know I have a lot of subscribers who are survivors of domestic V, and I am so glad that you guys are here with me. I try to be very sensitive to that. But you know, these are topics that just need to be had. Now, in Sarah Boone's case, that was the sole purpose of me playing that, was just to simply show that there are women who actually experience abuse for years, and some are unable to get out. Some are courageous enough and have the resources. Let's not forget about resources to get out. And unfortunately, a lot of women have to take the law into their own hands. Sarah didn't have to do this. Okay. Sarah pursued this man over and over and over again. Now, again, if he was the sole aggressor, the primary aggressor to you, and you were scared out of your mind, you did the right thing by calling the police. You did the right thing by deciding to press charges and even potentially testifying against him in court. Okay. Those were the right things to do. But you just couldn't leave well enough alone. And I just don't know if it's something to do with her personality, her wanting to be in control. It could have been the fact that, when she bailed him out, she had him, like I said, under her control. So, kind of like, if you do that again, I'm going to call the police, or, if you come over here, you're violating your bail, or whatever the case may be. It's always like she seems to have a one up on him. And so that's why I just don't believe that the battered woman's defense will work in her case. I don't. This was a mutual thing where they beat each other up. Um, if we look at the history of abuse, it's just questionable who was the aggressor. I think that he kept quiet more so because he knew he would get in more trouble than she did. And I think that was another advantage that she had over him, knowing that, again, if he did something to her, he's not going to ever tell what she did to him, but she can openly tell what he did to her. And then once she slept it off, then she's running to go get him again, kinda like a yo-yo, like this yo-yo effect. Um, and so, they're just gonna just dismantle all of that, and then I don't care what evidence she has in her phone. The fact of the matter is that you kept going back repeatedly when this man didn't even live with you. He wasn't on a lease. He wasn't supposed to be there or what have you. There weren't any, like I said, visible bruises on her, any scratches, lacerations, nothing on her person, but they were all on George. You have complaints from the neighbors who even said that they heard arguing and fighting. They have a history of being intoxicated, the fight spilling out into the front yard of the condo or townhouse. Even the landlord knew of the fights that were had in the townhome. You have all of these people that speak against you, his parents, his loved ones, his friends, even your ex husband has reported you being verbally and physically aggressive with him, and more so when you drink. Okay. And so, there has to be some accountability here. It's not like you were sober and you were going to work and you were doing everything that you were supposed to do. And then this man just took out everything that he felt on you every day until you just had enough. There had to be a way that either he voluntarily agreed to get into the suitcase, you knocked him out and got him into the suitcase. But again, all of the things that happened before this man passed in the suitcase are almost irrelevant because you berated this man, drunk or not. You flipped the suitcase over purposely so that he could not get out. You didn't leave a space for him to get out. You didn't even tell him there was a space if there was to get out. You woke up only because your ex-husband rang the hell out of your phone for you to wake up to see if you were gonna pick up your son, and then you somehow discovered, probably after you went to the bathroom and had a cigarette, that George wasn't there, and there was no sense of urgency ever, okay? You called Brian, he told you, almost forced you to call 911. There was no sense of urgency with 911 except for the fact that you wanted them to hurry up and get there because you were not interested in any type of CPR, any type of life-saving measures. When the police got there, you still showed no concern for George whatsoever. When they told you there was nothing else that he could do, you didn't cry, you didn't scream, you showed no anger, no nothing, no emotion whatsoever. It has always been, what can you do to save yourself? And so with that, there's no defense for you. There is none. There is none. I don't care what a psychiatrist says. I don't, because they have to factor in the things that you did and that you chose to do. He wasn't the only one fighting. You fought with him and not because you had to. So that's how I feel about that. Oh, hi, Nancy. Let's see what Nancy has to say. I do not see Boone as a battered woman. In the normal sense of the term, she was an abuser as much or even more than George was. The booze didn't help either. They were both. Yes, I agree, Nancy, wholeheartedly. I do. And that's why I don't see that defense working. And that is probably why she has had so many attorneys decide to just withdraw, because I think that once they told her this is not going to work, she got pissed off at them. And I think that she's trying to get them to go against their ethics and their morals and risk their license so that she could get out of jail. But no, no, no. There is no psychiatrist that's going to get up on the stand and say that you weren't able to discern what you were doing. You were out of your mind so much so that you didn't know what you were doing. I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. Now, maybe they can come back and say that you have a personality disorder, which I do believe that. I think that something is wrong with her personality. What type of disorder she has, I don't know. It's not for me to say. However, she's a drunk abuser. And I think once each lawyer had the time to look through all of the discovery and piece it together, she doesn't like what they say. She doesn't like what they say, and that's why we're on lawyer number 9. And so now people are thinking, "Okay, well, she has a female attorney, and maybe this will do her some justice." No, it's not. It's not. The facts are the facts. They don't change either way. The facts are the facts, and you chose to go down to the police station voluntarily to prove a point, but you got cornered. and you didn't know that they had that video, and that's what messed you up. And you've already admitted to both of you guys having a good day, the whole day, smoking, playing games and all of this other stuff, having a jolly old time. Nobody touched the other person. So that's your defense right there. Because see, a battered woman, there's no breaking that, right? A battered woman is battered all the time, verbally, mentally, emotionally, sometimes sexually, and definitely physically, right? So you're not gonna tell me that on March the 5th, and I'm just making up a date, that he beat you, but then he gave you a break until April 29th. So during that time, y'all had a jolly old time? No, I really don't know what they think. I really don't know. It's not the lawyers. I don't know what Sarah thinks her defense is going to be. She can say it's unintentional all day long. And like I said, I really don't believe that she intended to kill him. I don't think that she thought he could die in that position, but he did. And your actions after that is what sealed the deal. That's the end of it. But I am going to I live in Ohio. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I live in Columbus, Ohio now. I had no idea of this young lady's case that they played at the end. And so I'm going to see if I can do a FOIA request for her case. And that may be another video. I know Elizabeth, um, I can't think of her last name, and I don't need to say her last name. And Sherry, I don't know where they are. They're probably just busy. Maybe I'll see them soon. But they told me that I should do more cases, or suggested that I should do more cases about domestic V. And I've considered it, and it is on one of the I have a few cases about domestic V on my list. But I think that sums up everything that we need to discuss about Sarah. We've all heard the letters and everything else, so we don't need to go into that. And so we're just gonna wait and see if anything else pops up. Hopefully, she does not get on this lawyer's nerves to the point where she decides to withdraw. Um, and we have a trial in May, because at this point it is what it is. What I'm anxious and curious to know is what will happen eventually, because I told you guys last time, there are only so many lawyers available, public defenders. And so what happens is there is a pool of private attorneys who volunteer their time when there aren't enough public defenders. And so eventually the well is going to run dry. Now the judge does have say so in regards to if an attorney can withdraw or not. So the reason why I think the last lawyer was so successful in his motion to withdraw was mainly because he let the judge know, hey, she wants me to go against my ethics. And that's a big no-no. Okay. No lawyer is going to risk their license for a defendant. It's just not going to happen. And so I think that's why that one was granted. However, with a new judge now, I think this is a female judge and a female attorney. I think that somebody eventually is just gonna have to look at the calendar, look at look at her, gosh, I can't think of the word right now, but basically look at the docket, I guess you would say, and see this paper trail, right? And just I don't know. I don't know if they can even just tell the lawyer it's just something that you have to deal with. Um, but something needs to be done. We're going, like I said, it'll be 4 years. What is it, February? We out of February. Wasn't she arrested February 20th? So I think Tuesday marks 4 years. Was she arrested on the 20th, or did George pass on the 20th? We're getting close. Um, so that's that. That's that. We're hoping for May. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. And um I'm gonna talk about Courtney Clenny next. And it may be I should be able to can I go live tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, but it will be a notification up. And then I'm just going to drop a regular video tomorrow for sure. And that one will be about Brittany Watts. The Brittany Watts story is about a young lady from the state of Ohio who miscarried at home, and she was unfortunately going to be charged with abuse of a corpse. And the judge had bind her case over to the grand jury, and fortunately, they chose not to indict. So it's a pretty interesting story, and I want to tie in the Roe versus Wade kind of case into that and see what we get. So again, thank you everybody, my mods, my subbies, my A1 day ones, everybody in the bushes, members, whoever this video will reach, the replay crew, all of y'all. I appreciate everybody for interacting with my content and just being great supporters. Okay. So I will see y'all next time. Y'all be easy. Peace.